I'm Nick Von Walkerbarth, and you're listening to the Von Dubcast. If you don't want to listen to me gap in the intro and you want to skip right to the interview, skip about 12 minutes. But before you do, please consider doing one of these couple things that really helps out the show. Following the social medias for the Von Dubcast, subscribing, and leaving a review. If you could do those things, that'd be awesome. Also, give me a subscription on the YouTube channel. That'd be great too. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 103 of the Von Dubcast. Got a really great episode for you today. I know for a while there it seemed like every guest was an old friend from Lister Hall, which is the residence at U of A when I went to university there, and I did all my 4 years of university living in Lister Hall, and then went on a bit of a dry spell. Haven't had someone on from there in a little bit, so had to break one of my oldest, greatest friends out of the old phone book, Emma Russel, and have her on the podcast. Emma's quite the character. She was always tons of fun when she was around. She has an infectious smile, just an infectious positive attitude that is hard to be around and not at least get pulled upward in trajectory at least one or two notches. And those are kind of the people I love to surround myself with. And I think that's another part that really highlights what Lister was to me, because there were so many of those people around, and when you ever needed it, you could always find one of those people. It seemed like that was kind of an aggregator of people like that. And now going out into the real world here and been working for the last couple of years, you realize how rare those people are when you're out in the wilderness, and how you really have to work actively to make an inner circle that's surrounded by people like that. And I think when you're younger, you just don't understand how, or you don't appreciate some of those things until you kind of see how the real world works, and then you recognize, oh man, that was kind of a really special time when you're surrounded by that type of people. But it was really fun to catch up. When we were in Lister, me and Emma, we definitely bonded over our love of music. The first time she came to my room and saw that I had a guitar, her eyes lit up, and I love music, and I play piano and I sing and all this stuff. And eventually I was able to see her play piano and sing, and she has an amazing voice. She's a great musician. But at that time, guitar, she was all right at guitar, but definitely since then she has come so far. She started bands. She's played some live venues. She's just really ran with it. And it's funny to be reminded of this, because I kind of forgot about it until we started talking, but she always used to say this. She always used to say, you know what, I'm a rock star. Like, I'm a rock star. And I love that confidence of just like believing in herself, of what she is and who she like deep down knows to be inside of her. And oh, thank you. We'll just breeze by that one. I'm sure Emma will laugh at that. She likes my inappropriate humor. But as I was saying, I just think that is very rare to have that type of confidence, and then even rare for someone to go down this journey like she did of, becoming a nurse and pursuing that dream of kind of, the typical societal dream of like kind of what they tell you to do, but never losing that fire for music, and always like chipping away at the bigger dream. And the conversation we had a couple weeks ago now at this point, it was really interesting, because I didn't really know much other than watching on social media kind of the musical journey that she's been on. Other than that, I didn't know much about what was happening in Emma's life. And when we started talking, it became apparent just how funny the timing was, because Emma has recently moved out to Newfoundland. Should guarantee it's Newfoundland. All those eastern provinces just kind of blend together to me. Fairly certain it's Newfoundland. I apologize to all of my friends and all of my coworkers if I'm wrong on that one. But she just, had a lot of reasons, and I don't think we got into it too much, but just wanting a change and wanting a break, and it just mirrored so much of what I was going through, and the big change that I had come October 1st of stepping back from work and doing more of this full time, and just seeing that she's pretty much in the exact same place. It was just so funny how it worked out. I knew I'd wanted Emma on for a while, and just for whatever reason, just took a while to make it happen, or to get the balls up to ask her. I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason that drug it out that long to the time that we finally did reconnect, and to have our stories match so well, and have just so much of what she was saying when we talked, it was just mirroring what I was feeling. And after we talked, and she was saying the same thing when she was listening to my podcast and me talking about getting to that point and needing to make a change. She just said, like, that's when she was listening to those, it was exactly what she was going through at the same time, and how much, she appreciated, feeling a little bit of camaraderie, or whatever you want to call it, around that. It's just kind of funny how it all works out. And it was a great conversation. We talked a lot about music, a lot about her band, bit about nursing, a lot about life changes, kind of what we've done, a lot of catching up, a lot of old stories, and just a lot of laughs. And this is one of those ones where once it gets up on the YouTube, this might be one that you want to watch, just because I think the power of Emma's aura or whatever it is. I hope it comes through on video like it does in person, but like, I don't know. I just think you got to see it for yourself, whether it's, going to her Instagram, her band's Instagram sound system. I'll have them all linked in the description, and go watch her on stage. That's probably the best taste of it you can get, other than meeting her in person if you're lucky enough. But I'd say, when you see her live, maybe I'll try and find a clip of her singing to put up accompanying this episode release. But I think that's probably the closest I can get to the unfiltered just supernova that is within Emma at some level and comes out from time to time. And I think I'm just lucky enough to be a close friend and to be able to see it all the time. And I just, I count myself lucky with a lot of my friends like that, where I just think they're such amazing people, and I'm just lucky to be able to experience them or have, the luck of the world. It's a big world, and there's so many amazing people you'll never come in contact with, and the ones that you do, you got to appreciate that. And she's definitely one of them. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you do, please like, subscribe, all those things. Follow the social medias, follow Emma's social media, the band, everything like that. We talked a lot about Emma's favorite band, the Nova Scotiables. I'm going to link their Instagram or info in the description as well. Give them a follow if you enjoy it. And hopefully you get to check Emma out on stage sometime in the next couple of years, and she blows up and is the biggest rock star and winning Juno Awards and all that fun stuff. So, other than that, not going to give you guys too much of a long intro with all my goings on of what I'm doing in life like I usually do, because I kind of got a plan maybe to do a solo episode tomorrow, so I might save some of that for that. And other than that, I know I've lied to you guys enough times saying that the streaming and the business consulting things are right around the corner. It's turning out to be a little bit more work than I anticipated, and I'm just so much soaking up this newfound freedom and this newfound self accountability to hold myself to this. It was very different when you have a giant mechanism of a company that you can't take your foot off the gas, because there's just so much. You will just get absolutely run over if you let your foot off the gas go. It kind of forces you into always working, always staying on top of it, always pushing to the next level. And when you lose that, it's kind of like, I got to remember how to self-motivate again and like really, make plans and make organizational things. And that's never been my strong suit. I'm a very hippy-dippy, airhead of a guy, right? I'm very talented in when I can set my mind to something, but trying to set my mind to it is a little bit difficult to me. So but having said that, I've been enjoying the hell out of it. The lack of stress, just the ability to sleep through the night and know like I don't have to dread what I'm going to have to do the next day is just such a refreshing feeling, and I can't explain to you guys. I'm hoping that, as I get further along into this, I can maybe find better words to describe it. Right now I'm really struggling, but it's an amazing feeling, and I just want to make sure that I counter that out, because I think for a long time you guys were hearing a lot of darkness in these intros and just kind of the place I was at, and it feels so nice. I'm definitely not out of the woods, and still there's a lot of stuff going on in my life that's tough, and that's never going to change, but just the definite shift in mental health is very noticeable. And like I said, it's never going to be perfect, and very clearly is not perfect yet, but to feel some upward trajectory and some forward momentum is just amazing. And I've been living it up and loving it. And eventually I'm going to have to crack back down and get more serious and get these other ventures on the go and on the board. But, you know what? I'm just not putting pressure on myself to get there. I think a lot of time what would always eat me up was, I think about death a lot, and I think that's very powerful. And I think you should meditate on death. And I think so much of the world's issues stem from people sheltering themselves away from their own mortality and not really thinking about it. But what always would bug me was thinking, you know what, like you should live every day, just understanding, you know what, I might not have tomorrow. I want to appreciate today. And that's a really good thing to hold you in the now. And all the time I think of, like, if I did die today, I never gave up. I never pursued the podcast. I never was doing I wasted my time chasing somebody else's dream, and that would always eat at me. And now to know nothing has changed. I haven't accomplished anything great, but just to know that I'm at least doing what I choose to do and living my life, not living anybody else's, just gives me such a feeling of calm deep down. Like that is so important to me. And I don't think it'll make sense to a lot of people. I'm sure there's going to be a select few where it sounds like I'm just, reaching right into their mind and saying what they feel, because I think it's all on values. And I just have such a value on that freedom and doing what I want to do, that having that again is just amazing. And it reminds me a lot of when I lived in Lister, and just that freedom of, you had school and all that stuff. But other than that, like, you can kind of plan around it, and I got really good at planning around it, so I didn't have to go to class and stuff. But just the freedom that created, and allowing you to, I mean, it was different than what I would get up to, but now it seems to manifest itself in just listening to podcasts whenever I want, which I really enjoy. I've been absolutely crushing podcasts. I think that's what the solo episode tomorrow is more going to be, is just kind of catching you guys up on what podcasts I've been listening to, and I really want to. Because I think that's one of the skills I bring to this podcast, is that I listen, I've listened to every Joe Rogan, I've listened to every Lex Friedman, I've listened to the majority of a good 50 plus different podcasts on top of that. And I have all that in my head. And it's what I want to bring to you guys, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't enjoy all those podcasts to take in that knowledge that's sitting there waiting, and B, just don't have the time to, even if they love it. Right. And I think that's something that I'm very cognizant of, how amazing that is, that I have been able to take all that content in. But if people can't, they can definitely come to somebody that listens to them all and try and get, a watered down version of all those different podcasts coming from me, with my own little, Von Dubcast spin on it, a little bit of flavor. But yeah, so that's probably what I'm going to be up to tomorrow, hoping to get a few more podcasts booked this week, and do some more jiu-jitsu classes. I've been just loving jiu-jitsu lately. It's such a fun thing. I'll probably get it. I'm not even going to get into it, because I'm sure I'm going to get into it tomorrow on the solo one, but it's been really fun. Seeing some family, just getting back up to Edmonton, seeing my parents. That's been nice. I haven't been up to too much other than that, but yeah, I think that's enough for this little intro. I hope you guys all have a great week. I hope you all are surrounded by people that you love, and I hope that you aren't afraid to tell the people that you love them, especially you guys out there. Do it. Don't regret it. Listen to Carter. And yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Am I forgetting something? Oh, yes, I am. There we go. Bingo, bango, bongo. I knew I'd sneak it in here. Sponsorships. I've been working on a couple. I have about 2 or 3 businesses on the hook here. We're trying to make things work for it, and come up with a really good plan that benefits them and doesn't ask too much of it. I'm being really flexible. Almost every person I've talked to so far, it's been a completely different conversation of what fits for them. And you know what, especially at the start, if you want to give it a try, if you think it'd be a good sponsorship, the start is where it is, because I'm setting a very low bar for what my expectations are, how much it's going to cost and all that, because I just want to gain the skills of advertising on this podcast and figure out my, just how I'm going to do it, like what my special flavor on selling a product is, that comes from the heart and it's genuine. So please, if you know any companies that you think would be a good fit, please reach out. Probably something around, either if it's online, so it doesn't matter where it's localized, or something in kind of the Slave Lake, Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Calgary, Alberta bubble would be perfect. So yeah, if you want to pass something like that in the DMs on Instagram, is probably the best spot. You can email thevondubcast@gmail.com. All those things. And yeah, other than that, I think I already mentioned it, but follow the social medias for myself, for Emma, for the bands, for all that stuff. Please subscribe on any podcast app you're listening on. And other than that, I will see you in the outro. Bye. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, Emma. Listen to my voice go all funky as soon as we talk for 5-10 minutes before. As soon as the recording starts, my voice goes to shit. Look at that. But I'm so happy to have you here. I was just mentioning to you before we started recording that just seeing your face and your smile just lights me back up. I love being around you. You're just such a positive person, and I'm so happy to be able to talk to you.
Thank you.
So I'm curious. I know we'll probably get to it, but I may be burying the lead if I don't start it off. Where are you right now?
So I'm currently in Grand Falls, Newfoundland, which is like central Newfoundland, not really near the ocean, because everyone's always like, oh, you must be close to the ocean, like go check it out. I'm like, no, like people kind of underestimate how big the province is. But so yeah, I'm central Newfoundland right now. And I'm here on a travel nursing contract. So cool.
Yeah. So how does that work? Like, are those just always available and you just kind of have to win a draw for them? Is it just kind of a perk of the job that you get to kind of put your name in, and you'll see if there's a need and you can take advantage of it? Or how does that work? That's so cool.
Yeah, it's actually been like the coolest thing ever. So I'll start from kind of the beginning. So how I got into it, I actually fully quit my job back home. which is kind of crazy,
Wow.
in order to pursue travel nursing. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Wow.
so yeah, it's kind of funny because you also are doing this big, like, I'm going to pursue podcasting full time, and you quit your job. And like, I'm in the same boat, like literally beginning of September, I was like, I'm done. Like, I want to do something that I actually want to do. In Alberta right now, because of COVID and because I'm an ICU nurse, any job that is within Alberta Health Services, they're redeploying nurses back. So getting out of ICU right now in Alberta is basically impossible.
Right.
I wanted out. So I just decided to quit my job and I was going to travel nurse.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. So all I did, I literally just Googled Canadian travel nurses, found this company, and I had actually, this was a year ago. I'd applied for this company, but just the timing in my life wasn't right to drop everything. And then now I was just like, you know what, I just need to do this. And I have full support from my parents because I have a dog and a cat back home. I didn't really bring them.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. But anyway, so what it is it's this company where you have to get your own nursing license per the province that you want to go to, and then they book you, and they're desperate for staff. Pretty sure they hire anyone with like a pulse and a nursing degree.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it was like super easy to get into it. And yeah, so I shouldn't say it was easy. There was like a billion hoops to jump through. And to get your license in Newfoundland, I don't know if you knew this, but they want your firstborn child.
Oh, really?
So,
really?
That's what it felt like. Like, frig, they wanted everything. There's so much paperwork and so much, and like courses and modules and stuff that you have to do. But anyway, so how it works is the company picks a hospital and a contract. And so they give you, like, I said, okay, I want to go to Newfoundland. They gave me a bunch of hospitals that you can try out. And so I picked the one in Grand Falls. And they give you, okay, so the time frame, like initially this contract was supposed to be from September 1st till December 1st. And I was like, I can't go that long. Like, no way. Not my first contract. That's way too long. So I said, okay, well, I'll do from September 20th to November 1st. And they're like, yeah, done. They basically just need anyone out here. Like, they're so short staffed. So yeah, so this is like rural Newfoundland, because I'm in a city, but the city's like less than 15,000 people.
Wow.
So this isn't, like
you're getting into Slave Lake numbers there.
It's a small spot. And so like, I knew that I was getting into a small area, but the funny part is because Newfoundland is so spread out and there's so many tiny little towns, like, we are the city. This is there's a mall here. I mean, the mall has like maybe 7 stores, but like, it's a mall.
There you go.
So anyway, so they're very desperate for staff out here. So I am working in the ICU here. And basically how it works is they just give you a schedule, and they just put you in where there's empty spaces. So I'm working full time, but I'm working like all over the place. So that's kind of where I'm at now. So I've been here since September 20th, and I'm already like loving it.
It seems like it. And I know I have so many questions just off of what you said there. I'm struggling to find the start of it to make sure I can get to all the questions without forgetting them. But the main thing that sticks out to me is, first of all, how awesome it is that you took that leap and you quit your job like that. Like, that is just with where I am in life. Like you mentioned, that just speaks to me in a whole other level. And I didn't realize that until you said that's what you were doing. I thought this was just a temporary thing. That's awesome. Second thing is, when you decided to do this travel nursing, was there any question in your head that Newfoundland was not where you're going? No, I didn't think so. So I came here 4 years ago with an ex-boyfriend, and I fell in love, and I did some ridiculous stuff while I was here the last time. And I was just like, and the people are just amazing. So I guess actually, that's a bit of a lie. I kind of questioned it. I was like, oh, like, I could go up to the territories. I could go to BC. And there was a couple times I was like, oh, like, maybe I don't want to go to Newfoundland. And then I started looking at the cost of licensing and to get a register. Yeah. So you actually have to pay for your registration, and then the company will reimburse you a certain amount. But to go up to like the Yukon right now, to be a nurse up there is $11,000, or sorry, not $11,000, $1,100 to be a nurse up there. So you have to pay for like yearly license. Man, that's so silly. You'd think like if places like, you think the Yukon would be really, think they'd pay you $1,100 to come get a license.
Right? They have no nurses up there, but it's like crazy expensive. So initially, and this is my own being dumb, but initially I was Googling it and I was like, oh, like Newfoundland's only $200 to get a license. Done. Let's do that. No, I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. $200 was the license registration fee. There was actually a fee for your registration after that. It's turned to be like $700 in total.
And then the post-registration fee and the registration fees.
Yeah.
I know
union
how it works.
dues, all of it. I was just like, this is whatever. Worth it though, because I'm here. I made it.
Yeah.
So, and my license is good for a year. And so with this company, you have to work a certain amount of weeks. So I made the negotiation with the company that I work 12 weeks in Newfoundland within my year of registration, and they'll pay for my licensing fee.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
At the end of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question first, because that's exactly kind of where I wanted to go back to, was your first falling in love. Because I remember just from afar, at this point, we weren't talking a ton at this point. This was after we graduated from, I should have mentioned that's where we met each other, was in Lister, another great Lister friend from back in the day. We had some fun times on the dodgeball court and at Duke's and all over the place. But then since then, I got to watch you fall in love with Newfoundland. And it was so funny because I've seen so many of my friends go through this. Even my parents, they went out, not specifically to Newfoundland, they've gone all over, but every time they go to the East Coast, they just come back with these ridiculous stories of being out in these little bars and these little towns, and it always comes back to the people. And for myself, I've never been out there. So I'm curious just to hear from you, what was it like that when you first fell in love with Newfoundland and now being back there? But I'm curious, to go back to that time, what was it with the people? What were the nights? What were the experiences? What made you know that was like a piece of your heart that you'd carry forever and change your whole life to pursue in the future?
So I've always loved Newfoundland. I have my friend's band back home called the Nova Scotiables. They're like my best friends. And I've been playing with them and hanging out with them for like years.
Right.
They introduced me to East Coast music initially.
Right.
And I met a bunch of people from Newfoundland through them, like in Alberta. And I just loved it. And my poor mom is going to listen to this and not have any surprise when I say I have a thing for Newfie men. Totally. Yeah. And so I met this guy who was from Newfoundland, and we dated, and he was actually going to be in a wedding out here. He was the best man. And he's like, why don't you come with me? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like I have to. And so we came here and we were in St. John's. So he's actually from Gander, which is about an hour south of me. And St. John's is 4 hours south of me. Something like that. But anyways, it's a bit of a drive. So we flew into St. John's. So we did St. John's for a few days because that's where the wedding was. And I told him, so I don't know if you know, have you ever heard of the screech-in ceremony? I
sure have, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's some people listening that haven't, if you want to explain.
So I'll explain. So it's a bucket list item for me.
I bet.
Been there, done that now. But anyway, so screech-in ceremony. So in Newfoundland, it's when you become an honorary Newfie is how they do it. So you go somewhere where there's it has to be a Newfoundland person. So they have to be born in Newfoundland. You wear this big yellow Southwestern hat and you say all these things. I can't remember what they say. It's something like, let your big jib draw. And then you have to say something back. And then you have to kiss a codfish and you have to drink a shot of screech. And then they give you like the full certificate that they sign, and they give it to you like Emma Russel became an honorary Newfoundlander on this day. So this is like a bucket list moment for me. But I don't really do anything like halfway. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all the way and go a little crazy with it. So I said, the only thing we have to do here is I'm getting screeched in on George Street. Like it's going to be on George Street. So George Street, St. John's is one street and it's all bars. And it's like, that's what St. John's is famous for. And it's got incredible live music. It's my happy place. It's where dreams come true. Yeah. So anyway, so there was this one bar called Christian's Pub, and that's where they do a lot of the screech-in ceremonies. And I guess this guy who does them has been doing them for years and years and years and years, like longer than you and I have probably been alive, to be honest. Yeah. This guy. And I had no idea any of this. I was just on George Street having a great time. So I went through there, and this guy, we were like getting ready to go. There's a big group of us, and this guy comes out and he's just drunk as a skunk, and he is stumbling around. He's this big old man wearing a full black rubber getup, like a rubber fishing suit, whipping this frozen fish around in the air, like screaming at us. He's so drunk. And with Newfies, when they get drunk, you have no idea what they're saying. So I have no idea what this guy's yelling at me, but I know I'm supposed to repeat something. I have no idea what it is. And so bologna is Newfoundland steak out here. That's like the joke, because they don't really eat steak. They eat a lot of bologna. So there's bologna being thrown at us, like literally chunks of bologna thrown around the bar. Like I'm eating it. I'm like, what is going on? And anyways, they shove the fish in your face. You kiss the fish. you drink the shot, and then you are an honorary newfie. So I have like a bunch of pictures from that night with this guy, this like old crazy newfie man, but it was just like the best night. It was so fun. So then after that, that was kind of like my big George Street night. Like that was the night where I was like, I love this place. I never want to go. I'm just like obsessed. So we kind of continued on in Newfoundland, and I was like, I never want to forget this. This is like the best thing ever. So I ended up walking into a tattoo shop.
Wow. Bold, Emma. Bold.
My poor mom. I walked into a tattoo shop on my trip and definitely got a codfish tattoo to remember this.
Well
trip.
done.
So,
well done.
Yeah.
Where did you get the tattoo is my question.
On my thigh. On my thigh.
okay.
It's pretty small. It's just a little guy. But
Thigh. Okay.
No, I swear to God.
I get it. No, I got you. Emma. I got you. I'm with you. We won't tell your mom. We won't tell your mom.
Poor mom. Anytime someone asks about the tattoo, she's like, why?
But you can't be that surprised knowing you.
No, I know.
Come on.
It's just the best story though, right? Like this whole experience was just, and then I met all the people, and like everyone here is like basically your best friend. Like they all are just so welcoming and so loving. Like the day that we had the wedding, my ex had to go and do his own thing, because he was part of the wedding party. Yeah. So I was like, well, I want to do something fun. So I'll just get a cab and like go downtown and just kind of do sightseeing. So in the cab driver actually was like, oh, so where are you from? And I kind of told him, I said, it's my first time. He's like, oh, well, this is where you have to go. So this is going to drop you off. This is where you're going to go. This is what you're going to see. And like passed out my whole day for me. He was so nice. And in that moment, I was like, wow, like I feel so safe being all by myself, being around here. Like everyone's so nice. And it was just like, that's like a really cool experience. It was just awesome.
That's awesome. And then, I could kind of tell from then. And it's funny to know, a couple of things I noticed was just how much music was running through that journey, and just knowing you a bit before, that was always something when we first met, that was something that we really jived about was music, right? Like I think when you saw a guitar in my room, your eyes lit up. And I think that was shortly before you got your beautiful pink guitar, right? Like I don't even think you have
red.
Red. It is red. I'm colorblind, Emma. You know this.
I do know this. So I'm correcting you. It's red.
That beautiful gray guitar you have. But it was. I'm curious. When did you find the Nova Scotiables? Because I think that was the first pull. Like, how did you find these guys? Where did you find these guys? Why do you love them so much? I have a million questions. We'll just start there, and then I'll dive even deeper past that.
So they're going to love that I'm going to talk about this. They're like, we're going to plug them a little bit. Yeah. They're sweet. So I got my guitar back in 2015. Yeah. And I had it for about 2 months. I taught myself how to play. And then I decided, I was like, screw it. I want to play live. I want to start performing. Yeah. So I went to this really crappy little dive bar in Airdrie. I don't even think it's a thing anymore, but it's called Bambino's Pub. Nice. And Bambino's Pub was where I played my very first like open mic night. I went into the bar not knowing a soul and walked out knowing every single person in that bar.
That sounds like you.
Oh yeah, right. It was just like the best night. And so I started going there regularly. Yeah. And that is where I met Haji, who is the lead man of the Nova Scotiables. And so we met through music. He was playing, I was playing. So we started chatting and we kind of connected and through music. And he was with a different, the Nova Scotiables recently rebranded. So he was with another crew. They were still called the Nova Scotiables, but not the same band members. Yeah. And then a couple of years ago, they rebranded into what they are now. And so there's the four-piece band. Actually, now 5. They just threw in a drummer. Can't forget. But anyway, so since then, I've just known them for the last 6 years now, but I've been like really close with Haji, and we've just become really great friends. We play music together all the time. And so it's just been such a cool journey. So I've seen him with his journey from the old Nova Scotiables to the new Nova Scotiables and the way they've kind of transitioned along the way and stuff. Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
So I met them. Yeah. So I met them through like the Calgary music scene, and then it's just kind of been history ever since. And
I've seen you a couple times get up and play with them. And how cool of an experience is that?
Oh, that's the coolest part, right? Like I've known them for so long that we can get up on stage. We've got a couple of songs that we know like off by heart, but then I'll also sing like their originals I know. And like, I know a lot of their, like we do covers and stuff, and it's just, it's super fun. So cause I've just known them for so long that we all know a lot of the same tunes and I go to like, if I'm in Calgary and they're playing, I'm there and I'm front and center, like the whole night. So,
Right.
and then and actually a lot of the times they play up in Edmonton and they always stay with me. Like they actually have a key to my house, even when I'm not home. And I told them I'm going away. I'm like, I'm gone, but like, you guys can always use my house. My door is always open to you guys anytime. Like they are just, they're the best.
That's awesome. So then right when you're starting your musical journey of kind of just learning to, get up and play live. I mean, you don't have the same fear I do of that. I don't think always, even when I knew how to play guitar and you were just learning, you had just had a different confidence about it, even though you were just at the start of your journey, and then to watch it grow. But it's cool to hear that you had someone to kind of show you the ropes, because that's how I feel with music, is that I learned it on my own, and I've only jammed with people like a handful of times in like my whole life, picked a couple things up from people along the way. But it seems like you've grown so quickly, and I wonder what part of that is just your obsession with music and your love of it, and you're really putting in a lot of effort too. But it's probably nice to have some people that have been through a little bit and can show you the ropes and show you a little bit of what it is to be in a band, because like just that whole dynamic of being in a band is so foreign to me, because I've never even understood it, or even the thought of like trying to play music in time with other people sounds crazy to me. Like it just seems like, how would that ever work? Like I feel like when I'm playing by myself, I'm always messing up and like figuring things out on the fly, or like miss a chord and like go back to it. It's like, how do you do that with other people that are depending on you? That's wild. So like, was that nice to have some people that you could ask all those questions? They could kind of walk you through the sticky parts of that first 6 months of the journey, first couple of years kind of thing.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Like, so Haji's really helped me out with like he was actually the one who got me like my first show that I could play. And like, when I was just playing solo, and we would go to open mic nights, and he'd always, encourage me like, hey, like try different songs, like giving me advice advice when I'm playing guitar and my chord, like how I hold my guitar, how I like strum and stuff. So he gave me a lot of advice. He really helped a lot. I give a ton of credit to like where I am now to him. And then actually, so I always wanted a band. I always wanted to do my own band, but I never really totally had the guts to do it, because it's like, it's a lot when you actually like want to do it and have to figure it out. Yeah. So I remember, and I actually will never forget this night. I remember so clearly. I remember we were in Fort Saskatchewan, of all places, at this really weird bar that was like the best night of my life. Like, I don't know how Fort Saskatchewan got so cool, but like there was this one night where it was like December or November or something. I don't remember exactly when, but like they played a show and they had the entire dance floor, and it was like this huge bar in I just can't reiterate the time that it was in Fort Saskatchewan. Like I didn't even know there was a party there, but there was. And they just had the whole place just bumping. And I like looking at them on stage, I'm like, I want that. Yeah. I want that. Like, I want that to be me on stage. I want me to be the one that are making all these people dance. Like, I'm going to do this. And I just said, I'm going to do this. So that was back the late 2019. And so
you'd only been like played your first live show 3 years before that?
2015. So yeah, 4 years. 4 years. 4 years I'd started playing.
But still, that's a huge jump, right? Like, whoa.
Yeah. So I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be in a band. Like this is it. So I made it my New Year's resolution for 2020. I was going to join a band.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, and it's kind of funny how it all happened, because I know a ton of people in Calgary in the music scene. Like I know a ton of different people, a ton of bar owners, tons of different musicians. I don't know them in Edmonton, and Edmonton's my home base. So I was like, well, I got to do this in Edmonton. And so I actually signed up, and this is kind of funny. I call it like a band dating website.
Oh,
kind of thing. So it's like you create a profile, and it's how people find band members.
That's so smart.
It's like a dating. It's like a dating website, because you can create your profile.
And before that, how would you ever do that before that? Like that just blows my mind. How do you find I need a bass player? Like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, I mean, you have to know people, but I didn't know anyone in the music scene in Edmonton. So I signed up for this profile. I was like, I'm a singer. These are like my influences. I'm looking to be a lead singer in a band, but I also play guitar. I play piano. Like I'm willing to kind of adapt. And I had a few bands reach out to me. And there's a lot of them that just wanted me to do backup vocals. And like, this is my ego coming out, but I was like, I'm no background singer. Like, come on.
I can't imagine you being the backup singer. That just does not fit your personality whatsoever.
No. Like there was this one band, they wanted me to do backup vocals and keyboard. I was like, no.
Not for you.
No, in my dream world, I want no instruments in front of me, and I just want to steal the show.
Yeah.
So then a different, not the band that I'm in now, a different band reached out to me, and they were called High Country. And they called themselves experimental rock. Metal is what I would refer to it as. And I was like, I don't think I can really sing metal, but I guess we'll give it a shot. So at this point, I'd never really written lyrics. I'd never really written music, but I was like, I want to try this. So the boys said, okay, like, we want you to audition. We have a SoundCloud. We've recorded some songs on SoundCloud. We need you to write some lyrics, come up with some melodies, and then come jam with us. And that's how you'll audition. And I'm like, okay, sure.
That sounds terrifying.
It was horrifying. I'm like, I don't write music. I don't know what to say. Yeah. So I totally was winging it and wrote some lyrics, came in, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I even like changed their arrangement a little bit, and they loved it. And
really?
Yeah, which was super cool. I never really thought that I could do like the kind of, I guess, heavy rock / maybe a little metal. Yeah. But it was working, and it actually sounded kind of cool. And so they had auditioned a bunch of other singers, but they ended up picking me.
Cool.
Yeah. And so we started jamming, and that's kind of how the first band started.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
And what year was that? By the time you
this was 2020. So
that was
early 2020. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this was pre-COVID. This was when we started.
Oh, so early 2020 when you just jumped into the band world. Oh, that's so sad. I
know. It actually broke my heart a little bit, because we were just starting to get really good, and we're like, okay, like we can start recording, we can start like coming up with an EP, and then we'll start making shows. And then COVID hit. Oh. Yeah. And being an ICU nurse at the time, they were like, Emma, like, you're going to be with COVID patients. Like, I don't think it's and I totally understood.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't think it's a good idea if I'm around people right now, because like, I don't know, I'm going to probably get it. I don't want to spread it. So we'll be safe. We didn't jam for probably about 3-4 months. We kind of took off. And then after that, we got back together. And probably like, I can't even remember, it was like 1 jam or 2 jams in after having COVID and, just starting to get back into things. The guitar players, so we had 2 guitar players, a drummer and a bassist. Yeah. The guitar players had a bit of a meltdown.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. And they left.
Rock stars.
And they quit. Yeah. They totally quit. I wasn't even present for this conversation, but I guess this conversation like exploded and was quite unhealthy and not good. And so this was on a Sunday night, and Monday morning, like I think I was working Sunday night or something, and I wake up Monday after sleeping, and I get all these messages on my phone like, so Emma, like for my bass, like, so Emma, like we quit, I left the band. And then the drummer, Emma, sorry, I left the band. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm texting the guitar player, I was like, what happened?
What did you guys do?
What did I miss? Yeah. So anyway, so the band broke up. So that was kind of like really disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, crap, like this is what I wanted, I finally found a group. But to be honest, like I wasn't really like, it wasn't my type of music. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but I was doing it because
it was a cool entry point. Yeah. It was to get to kind of what you want to do. And it's cool to learn all those lessons about how it works and stuff. So it's still positive what you got out of it, but doesn't take any of the sting away of losing something like that when you worked so hard and put so much in, and not just like the work you put in, but the vulnerability of not knowing songwriting, but to throw yourself out there into this thing you don't know, and to have it take and catch like that, to lose that is a sad moment. Hey.
Yeah, it really sucked. It really stung. I think that's the best way to describe it. Like it was just really crappy. But so then we were kind of like, so with this band, the bass, so I'm going to use names now because it'll just be easier to describe. So Trevor's my bassist.
Trevor on the bass. Gotcha.
Trevor on the bass, and John is on drums. And we really clicked, the 3 of us. Yeah. We like musically, we really clicked. And I actually think Trevor is probably the most talented bass player I've ever met in my life. I think he's amazing. He is an incredible musician. And bass players are usually like
slapping the bass, man.
But they're usually like either really weird or like really crappy. And they're just like, they just want to be a musician. He's actually the coolest person and like super talented. So like, and just a very good like overall musician. And John is really talented too. Like he's a really good drummer. And I thought, why are we putting this to waste? Like there's something here in the core in the 3 of us. Yeah. So we thought, why don't we stick this out and see what we can do? So we had a couple jams where I played guitar, but I'm not that good of a guitar player.
Me neither.
I'm pretty
I can fake
basic.
it pretty good. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
I hear you. I know exactly what you're saying.
I can look really hot with the guitar in my hand on stage,
for sure.
but I can't lead guitar playing.
Me too.
Like,
Me too.
No bueno. Right? So I was like, I told the boys, I was like, guys, like, we can't do this. Like, we need a guitar player. And so we had a few, like, I had a couple other bands along the way that like I picked and like worked with, but this was the core that we really wanted to do. And we didn't want to be like a cover band. We wanted to write originals. We wanted to be an original. Yeah, that's what we wanted. And so we had a couple people like play with us and nothing was really fitting. And then Trevor actually was like, so I'm in another band and we just lost a drummer and a singer. And I was like, wow, this is perfect. So they had a guitar player. So like, well, let's bring him in and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And so the guitar player came in, his name's Steve, and we clicked, and that's how we formed the band. So
cool.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. So the band's name, and please don't hold it against me. I did not name the band. We're called Sound System.
I know. I'm aware. I've been following you.
And it's terrible. I do not like the name.
Oh, come on. You got to believe in it. Believe in it.
I mean, I did when we were doing really well, but
I see. Sorry,
like,
I'm jumping ahead.
It's okay. So Sound System, I was like, I can get on board with this. Like, I think I can do this.
I'm in it for the music, not the title.
Exactly.
I hear
but
you.
We made some great music.
That's awesome. And that's all that matters, really.
Totally. We started, so Trevor and Steve is the guitar player. So they brought in a lot of their music from their old band, but then we were able to kind of rework it and make it really like our stuff. Yeah. And it was super cool. We had like this kind of indie punk rock type sound. And it was so fun. It was awesome. We played our first like actual show in October. We did like a whole photo shoot before so that we could like promote
I saw that.
It.
That was so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We did like a photo shoot. We had merch. We had like all this stuff. And we're like, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to do this like right. We had a banner with our name on it. And like, we played this show and I was like, wow. Yeah. We rock. Like, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but like, no, that's awesome. We're awesome. Like we were so tight. We sounded so good. And it was so fun playing with these guys. Yeah. It was unreal. And then COVID hit again. The second wave.
Was this round 2 or round 3?
This is round 2 of COVID. Gotcha. So then the second wave hit and it was really bad at our hospital. And I just told the guys, and live music was illegal. Like you literally, you couldn't play. You couldn't get in a group. You couldn't play. Like we could have gotten together, but the problem was our jam space where we were practicing was in Trevor's, his office, like where he works is where we practice. Yeah. And nobody had like a big enough house or like a house that was like soundproof enough to be practicing. So we were just like, he's going to get a huge ticket if we get like caught. Plus I'm probably going to get COVID. I don't really want to give it to everyone else because I'm working with everyone. Yeah. Like I don't really want to give COVID to my band. So so then we had another break. So we had to like stop playing for a while. So that really sucked.
And all the while during these breaks, sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
But are you still like practicing playing? Like, is music just still a huge part of your life, but you just kind of go back to your solo, just playing? But yeah. Okay.
Totally. Like it's my sanity, like music, my sanity. Actually my house, I made a room. It's my music room. I painted one of the walls like this, like really bright. It was supposed to be purple, but of course it turned out pink because it's me. Everything
has to be pink in your world.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're already, I don't know, half hour into this and we haven't brought up your obsession with the color pink yet. I'm sure we'll get into it.
We're getting into it now. Especially with pink. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was supposed to be purple. It turned out pink, but it's a chalkboard wall. So you write on the wall. So as you're jamming and writing, you write your lyrics and you write your chords on the wall.
Really cool.
So I have like a couch in there. I put up all my guitars on the wall. I've got my piano. I had a drum kit for a little while in there, like all these random instruments and stuff that
I got to come to your place. It sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, we'll jam.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's so sweet. But yeah, so like all my friends would come over and we jam in this, like this was like the music room, you know, like it's so cool. It's such a sweet little vibe in there. And so that's what I was doing, was playing on my own. And it was just like my sanity because COVID was like horrific at the hospital. So no, I was still playing. We're still in the band group. We use the app called BandLab. And for anyone who's a musician, this is a sweet, sweet tool. So you can record on BandLab and you we were doing this a little bit here and there, but you can record each part separately. So
Right.
like the guitar can record, then the bass can record on top of that. And then I can record my vocals on top of that.
Mhm.
And then the drums can record their vocals on top of that, but it's all separate, right?
Yeah.
On this little app. So
Right.
it's really cool. So we were still creating a little bit here and there, and I was still writing lyrics, and I was still really trying to like, keep moving forward. And so, yes, that's kind of how we like made it work then, which was awesome. So
Yeah.
we still had our group chat, and we're still talking all the time and stuff. So we kept it going.
Mhm.
And then finally COVID started to settle. So we were able to get back together.
Practice
So
a bit, get it back rolling.
Yeah. So back in June, we started jamming again.
Right.
But bars they're not really booking gigs. That was the problem. Like it was hard to get a gig.
Mhm.
But my parents are the coolest people in the world.
Yeah.
And they host a festival at their cabin every year.
Cool.
And so that was going to be our second show, was going to be at the cabin in BC. And so we worked our way up to that. We had a new song. We had a couple covers. And so we played that. And that was like our last show. So that was the end of August.
Mhm.
We called it Valley Fest. It was
Nice.
the best. The Nova Scotiables also played.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had about 100 people in our backyard.
Yeah.
We had my band played first, and the Nova Scotiables played after. And it was literally like in their backyard. Like the Nova Scotiables brought the whole like sound setup and everything. And it was so sweet. That is cool. By far the best show we've ever played. Like I've ever played in my life. Like, I don't really care what everyone else thinks about that show. Like I had the best time of my life. Like
that is awesome. That's such a good mindset to have too.
It was like, I was on stage. And so right before, Haji was there, and I talk about Haji all the time. He's like a huge influence, but I was like, we were about to get on stage, and I was so nervous because I've never played a show where it was like literally everyone in the crowd knew me. They didn't know all the bands, but they knew me specifically because it was all my parents, my friends, my family. And I was like, I had a little bit of like a freak out right before. And I was like, Haji, this is so nerve wracking. Like, I'm actually really scared. Like, I'm really nervous. Yeah. And he's like, Emma, all you're going to do is you're just going to sing to the mountains. Cause literally you're sitting there and you can just see the mountain range in front of you. He's like, just stand there and you're just going to sing to the mountains. And you get on stage and you're like looking out, like all your friends and family and all the best people. And you're looking at the mountains. You're like, wow, I'm literally just singing to the mountains right now. And I was really, really egotistical in this, but I made all my friends and family wear my band shirts. So it was like everyone in the crowd that knew me, they were wearing my band shirts. And I was like, this is literally like the moment I've always wanted. The moment you dream of, where the crowd is wearing your shirts, the crowd knows your songs that you wrote. Yeah. And they're singing along with you. And it's all your favorite people that are going to be your biggest critics, but your biggest supporters at the same time. Yeah. And it was just amazing. It was unreal. Like, that is so cool, Emma. I know. I'm like so excited just talking about it. Yeah. It was so cool. And so we did this like huge show. The Nova Scotiables played after. Like I got up on stage and played with the Nova Scotiables a bunch. Yeah. And then at the very end, we played like one big song all together, like both bands on stage. We played Mama by the Glorious Sons. I don't know if you know, but that's like my trademark song right now.
I think I've heard you play it on social media or something.
Probably. I think so, But we got up on stage and we played that all together to like close off the night. And it was just like the best night. It was so much fun. Yeah. So that was like our last show that we played. And it was awesome. So we're riding like this huge high right after this. Like we're doing so good. It was so fun. Yeah. And then 3 days later, Steve, my guitar player, decides to quit the band.
Oh no.
Yeah. He decided he's done. So we are in the rebranding phase.
Emma Russel Trio.
That's what we're calling it. Emma and the Boys. That's going to be the name of the band.
Hey, might as well. But you're just getting better and better at guitar here, so maybe you won't even need another person.
We're a ways off for that.
All right. Well,
and besides, I told you I'm an arrogant little turd. Like I want to be the front and center. I don't want a guitar. I don't want to play. I just want to sing. I just want to have fun. I want all eyes on me.
I'm curious. I mean, I have a million questions, but just
going
on that with for me, I'm the opposite. I love having it. Like I hate singing. But I love playing guitar and I love singing while playing guitar. But the thought of just singing and not having a guitar is terrifying. It's so funny to hear the opposite. And I totally get it with you, with a voice like yours and a personality like yours and just who you are. Like it totally makes sense. But I'm just curious about that, like knowing that if you have the opportunity to fill that role and to do that front woman like position, would you also want to do like some songs where you do get to play? Do you still have a love for playing and singing, as long as you get to fill that role and get your moment to be who you want to be? Is there still like a space for that, just you and your acoustic guitar up on stage type of thing? Because I also really think you have some specialness inside of that kind of thing too. That was terribly worded, but I think you know what I mean.
I'm following it. It was a little bit of a roller coaster sentence, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yes, no, 100%. I'll never ever stop performing with just me and the guitar. It'll never end. Like that's because that feeling too, when it's just you on stage and it's just that intimacy that you can have with the audience. Like, no, nothing will ever take that feeling away either. Right. Like that's a whole different thing. So when I'm in like, if the boys were like, hey, Emma, like this song would be really cool with 2 guitars, done. Totally. I'll play. Or if they're like, hey, you should write a really cool piano intro to the song. And then we should pull out the keyboard for it for a couple. I'll be like, done. Totally. Even if they wanted me to play the friggin' tambourine or something, like, sure, done. I'll do it. But what my vision for my music career will say, what I want is I want to be just like me on stage. And I've had a lot of, when you start playing live and you play with the guitar, you know, it's very different transitioning to not having a guitar in your hands and not having something to hide behind.
Yeah, I bet.
It's very different. And actually Haji really molded me into like, okay, so what do you do on stage when you don't have an instrument? You don't have something to hide behind. Like, how do you express your emotion? How do you express your songs? How do you express yourself? And like, the biggest thing that I would say is, and the biggest thing that I've learned is you just be yourself.
Yeah.
Like you just, whatever you feel in that moment, you just feel it and you just let it go. And you just, you know, initially I was so worried about like, oh, what are my hands supposed to do? Like, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to like, no, you just let all that go. Like whatever I do, I just want to feel it. And whatever feels right in that moment. Like if I want to friggin' whip my hair around and like just let loose, that's what I'm going to do, you know? And it's just, you just feel it. You just feel the music and just express yourself the way that you want to express yourself, and not care what anyone else thinks or how they look at you. Like it just doesn't matter.
Exactly. And it's just like dancing, because like I think so much of like when people think of dancing, they have it in their head that it's this thing where you're either a good dancer or a bad dancer, or you know moves or you don't know moves. But 99% of dancing is, as long as you don't care and just going with what feels right. Like it might be the most random fucking movements ever, but as long as it's true to you, it doesn't look weird. And people get so in their head about what it looks like, but that's what looks funky, is when you're in your head about it. That's when it starts to be herky jerky and awkward. I think that's the same with like performing and stuff. Like when I think of that, if I was just to, you know, let go of like, who would I be? When you mentioned that of like, if the guitar got taken away, like what would I be? And I think like, oh, that sounds terrifying, but I know eventually I would just give in, and it'd be a lot of kicks. It'd be a lot, you know, like running around, like thinking of myself in that position. Like, oh yeah, I'd be going wild. Right. But like,
totally.
It's about having the, I don't know if it's like self-security or what it is to show that side of yourself and have the confidence that you're not self-conscious about it in that moment, and that you're enjoying, that you're rocking the show, and that people are going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this and people are going to enjoy this. And that confidence just is what people will feed off of and go to that level with you, wherever you want to take it. They'll be on that ride with you. It's awesome.
Totally. Oh. Well, anytime you see live music, if the people on stage are having fun, you're having fun. You know, like if you're authentic on stage and you're having the best time, I'm like, the people on like in the crowd are gonna have the same experience, you know? Like if I'm up there and I'm watching a band and they're just like living their best lives, they're laughing with each other, they're back and forth, they're all over stage having a great time. I'm living for that, right? Like that's what feeds your soul. And live music, if you're just having fun, the crowd's gonna have fun with you. And that was, again, Haji gave me that great advice. And I was like, that's exactly it. That's all you have to do. And it's just,
And just going on that same comparison with dance, if that's something that I always love to dance. Like when I'm alone, like my floors probably take a pounding because I'm always dancing. Like I always got music going and I'm busting the move, like hard moves too, not just like a little bit of like I'm going buck wild. And I always love to dance. And like me and my sister used to dance all the time growing up. But then when you hit that, I don't know, like 13, 14, where you go to like a Much Music dance or whatever, unless I was hammered, right? Which was a couple of times, then I danced. But other than that, I was so self-conscious about it. And same thing when we go out, like even in university, unless I was really hammered, I wasn't dancing much. Like I was kind of always really self-conscious about it. But then I went on this, and apologies for people that have heard the story before, but when I went on a trip to Europe, for a month before I came to GP to start this job, it was kind of my last hurrah before coming here and starting this, just not knowing anybody and just kind of whatever, something snapped in me where I didn't care. I was dancing on every dance floor and I was just having a party, and it's drunk, sober. And ever since then, I've been that way. Like I'm a dance machine. So that was probably, I don't know, 4 years ago at least. I've ever since, like, you cannot get me off a dance. Or COVID has been really tough because all I want to do is dance. But the mental health lift you get from just letting go like that and just feeling it and just like completely turning your mind off and just going with what you're feeling in that moment and just letting your body loose and just the energy it gets out is such a magical thing. And I'm curious to put that back to you, because I think what you're talking about of being on stage and just going to that same mode of just feeling it, I'd imagine that's the same thing times 10 of like having that feeling of just getting that out. Like how cathartic is the experience of getting on stage? Like I can't even wrap my head around.
There's nothing better. There's literally nothing better. Like, and different people, there's people are so different with this. Like some people are performers and some people are like, oh no, I just like to watch. Like, so I go back to my mom. My mom is like my number one rock star supporter. Yeah. And I don't think you could ever get that woman on a stage ever. Right. Ever. Not that she performed. That's just she's not musical or anything. Yeah. She likes music, but like, I don't think I'll ever in my life see her like perform on stage. Right. But she loves to watch. Like that's where that's where her element is. Right. Whereas me, like, yes, I love to watch. I love concerts. I love live music. Anything entertainment, I'm there. Sign me up. Yeah. But when I'm on stage, like, yes, that feeds my soul. Like that adrenaline that you get in that moment. Oh, and so actually I had like literally probably the most cathartic experience of my life at this festival. So you know me, I have an obsession with Alanis Morissette. I don't know if anyone knew this. Major, huge. Alanis Morissette is queen. Mm-hmm. And for people who don't know me, I do have a cat. Her name's Alanis Morissette. Mm-hmm. My dog's name is Janice Joplin. I have Janice and Alanis, and it's hilarious. But anyways, Alanis came first. Mm-hmm. Alanis Morissette, love her. So I've always had this dream of performing Alanis Morissette on stage. And I did it. We did at our festival, we did You Oughta Know, which like that song got me through every friggin' breakup of my life. Yep. So we got to perform it. We got to do it. I had and actually fun fact. So that original recording on Jagged Little Pill, the bass line is written by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And actually the drummer is on that album. I hope I'm not wrong when I say this, but he's the drummer for the Foo Fighters now. Yeah. So like, they're just tossing those guys around. Totally. But this was back like the 1995 when Jagged Little Pill came out. But yeah, she had like Alanis had a lot of really famous people working on this album with her. So that's why when you actually go back, and now you're going to go back and you're going to listen to You Oughta Know, and you're going to listen to the bass line and be like, wow, this is really funky. Yeah. And so the boys and I, we found this live version that she played, and it started with just the bass and her. And I was like, that is the sickest thing ever. Yeah. So that's how we did it. We made it really funky. So it was just me and Trev, and that's how we started it. And he just like made up this sweet bass line. And he's so talented. Every time we play that song, he never plays the same bass line once. Like he's always just messing around. And he doesn't really like covers, but because it was Flea who wrote it, that's how I convinced him to do this for me. But yeah, we played it and we did it. And it was just like my whole soul was just on fire doing this song on stage. So I'm like, I am Alanis, like in this moment, I'm Alanis. And it was so like, but that feeling on stage of like the empowerment, the adrenaline, the like, like nothing in that moment could ever bring me down. Like I didn't care if anyone in the crowd even like was paying attention. I was having the best time of my life on stage there. And it was so awesome. And then when we got off stage, everyone was like, Emma, you're Alanis. I'm like, I know. Just holding back the tears. Literally. Like getting off stage, like, that's amazing. Anyway, that's awesome. Oh yeah, like frig. It was so fun. It was so good. And it's so funny with things like that of a like a musical dream or this thing. So many people get caught up in looking at it through their lens of what success is, right? Of like, or is it making money? Is it this? Is it that? Right? Like with the podcast, but it's like, yeah, you guys don't understand. Like,
when I got to have like two of my favorite authors on and I got to sit and talk to them for 2 hours, and just like the feeling of like, there's no higher high than that for me, of like just like a really high level intellectual conversation with people I really respect. Like there's nothing better than that. Like that moment of like from the time the recording starts to the time it ends, like there's no better place that I'd ever be. It doesn't matter if it makes money, right? Or like, you know, like people are looking at, oh, well, does your band make money? It doesn't matter. Did you see what that night I got to have that experience that I'll never lose? Like that's what's important at the end of the day. And I'm so happy to hear that you have that mindset and that you're doing things to, you know, why you don't have to wait for all these people to give you the green light to live your dream. Put it together yourself, put a festival on. Like that is so what life is about. Exactly what you described of like doing it yourself, which is putting it on with your favorite people, surrounded by those, because that's what matters at the end of the day. Who cares if some random person, right? Like, oh, I just love that, Emma. That's so wicked. I'm so glad you did it.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Like my parents are so cool. Next year, I know. Valley Fest 2022. I'm telling you, it's gonna be freaking sweet. My parents are like I can't give it up to my mom enough, like, because she just literally let me do this. She's like, because we did it last year with the Nova Scotiables and it's just them. And this year I said to my mom, I was like, you know, I think we should do it again, but like, are you okay if my band plays? Like, can my band play? She's like, of course, like so supportive of it. She's telling everyone, she's like, anyone who she's invited, she's like, yeah, so my daughter's band is playing. Like my mom is like my number one support. Like even when I was first starting and playing like crappy open mic nights in crappy dive bars, like my mom was there all the time. It's so funny because like anyone who knows me in the Calgary music scene knows my mom too. Yeah. Like everyone knows like Lara Russell, like, oh yeah, is your mom here? Like, is she with you and stuff? Like she's just the best. But yeah, so she hosted the whole thing. Like she put it on. She like we made it so big. We even like rented a porta potty and like had like we made like a raffle table. So because we wanted to raise money for the bands. So like she created this big raffle table. We had like sponsors. We had like it was like that's awesome. So much. Oh yeah. And yeah, it was amazing. It was so much fun. So yeah, so like it's so cool. But you know, this is the thing, like, and I know you're kind of in the same boat right now where it's like you just got to do what feeds your soul. You just got to do what makes you happy. And that's why I did the music thing. That's why I did the band thing. Like, because, you know, nobody's going to do this stuff for you. Nobody's just going to give you a silver platter of, okay, here's your own podcast. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. You have to put it in and you have to, you know, force yourself that, yeah, it's really terrifying. Now I'm going to find a new guitar player and I got to rebrand all over again. But like, I'm going to do it. Exactly. I'm totally going to do it. I'm going to come up with a new band and we're going to be friggin' sweeter than the last one. Like, that's just how it's going to work. And one of these days, you better believe I'm going to win a Juno. You better believe it because I'm gonna.
I know. I believe you. I've believed in you for a long time. And I hope you know that, right? Like I still remember you walking into my room one time and seeing guitar and picking it up and being so excited to show me the couple chords, because this was before you'd even bought that red guitar, I think, right? Yeah. But you were just, I could see it in your eyes of just how excited you were. Like you play guitar, music, like the connection, and just wanted to show me. And then I remember you, once you had bought the guitar, this must have been months later, of you coming into my room so forcefully, just like on a mission of just like stop what you're doing, grab my guitar, and you wanted to show me. And it might have even been an Alanis song at that time. You were just so proud of it. It was just, and for me, it was just like, this is awesome. Because I know what that first, like learning guitar, it gets exponentially better. But when you look at it in reverse, it's so shitty at the start and it takes so long, and like the skills that get added on later. But when you look at the first 6 months of learning guitar, it's so painful. And for you to just not even have any hint of all the crappy parts of it, just the pure positives, like the pure I can't even find the right word of what it is, of just all the positive aspects of learning guitar. You took all of that, rolled into my room like a freaking tornado and showed me the song. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is something you're going to do. Right. Like you could see it from then, right? Like, oh, that's just so awesome. And then to, you know, follow along, sometimes more closely, sometimes from afar, just on social media, of all these things, and you actually doing it each time. It's like, hot damn, I'm like, you're doing it. That's awesome. And stuff like that. Just, I feed off stuff like that of people that I think are awesome, doing awesome things and, you know, not waiting, because you talk about, you know, nobody handing you a podcast like that. But in my head, there was years, Emma, where I was just sitting there fantasizing at work all the time about somebody handing me a podcast, because I thought that in my head, I just thought that's the only way you do it, right? Like you have to either be a successful comedian or you have something, or, you know, I always use this example of, you know, stopping a bank robbery or something, right? Like just some sort of fame. And it was so silly for that long to not realize, like, no, idiot, just go start it. Just build it. Eventually you'll get to
Totally.
that point, right? Or you'll, if you're putting the work in, you have to work hard to get lucky, right? Like everyone always looks at all these people that have success and you can point to one thing that blows them up. There's so much backlog of work to put them into that position where they can capitalize on that luck. And I just love that idea, and to dive into it and to, damn all the people that are going to think it's a crazy idea. I don't care. I'm enjoying it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you're living your life and you're enjoying what you're doing, that's all that matters. Oh.
Totally. Yeah. So okay. So if we can go back, if that's cool. Like, so you just quit your job, which I think I'm so pumped for you, because I just did it. I just did it. And I'm like, yes, the freedom. So like now I have all this freedom. I have like, the world is my oyster. So now, I'm going to pursue music. I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to really pursue it. I want to that's what I want to focus on, is music, but also obviously nursing is going to be no matter what. Like, I'm going to be a nurse.
You're born to be a nurse. It's very, just like music is in you, nursing is in you. And that was been
totally. Right? Yeah, totally. So, so anyways, going back, so I recently quit my job. And I'll give you a little backstory. Like, so I work in ICU. I worked in COVID ICU, and it was like pretty horrific.
I would say so. Yeah.
Oh, like there's days where you literally feel like you're working in a war zone. Like it's just so, it's so intense. And it really took a toll on my mental health. Like, like a lot. Like it was really, really, really hard. And I did it for, a year and a half, and I worked full time throughout all of it. And it was just brutal. And again, going back to my mom is really pushing me, like, you got to get out, you got to get out. And I kind of told her like this dream that I've had of travel nursing. I want to travel nurse. I want to see the country. I want to do things, I don't want to be stuck here. And then I told her, I was like, but I can't. I've got the dog, I've got the cat, I've got the house. Like, I can't do it. My mom was like, no, you stupid. No, you can do it. We'll take your cat and your dog. We'll put your house, we'll turn off the water in your house. Just go, like, do it. And I gotta say, it's been like the most empowering thing. Like, everyone kind of tells me from work, they were like, man, you're so brave. You're going to, like, I don't know anyone here. I know literally, well, not anymore. You make friends quick. Yeah, like instantly. But like, I'm just like, screw it. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to live this crazy adventure, and I'm going to have the best time doing it. And I do have a bit of guilt for leaving Alberta. I know Alberta's on fire right now. I know that the hospitals are really brutal, but and you kind of talked about it too in one of your podcasts, of being selfish. You have to be selfish. And, I was being selfish with music, and music was my soul, and that was my therapy for a while, but it wasn't cutting it. It wasn't giving me enough relief in my life to be happy. Like, I just had a really rough year. I was not happy. And when it's your job that's making you so unhappy, it just consumes everything. Yeah. I know you so get what I'm saying.
I can't even describe how much I get what you're saying right now.
Totally. Like, I was listening to your podcast, I'm like, frig, I can't wait to talk to him, because this is like, yes, I'm so on your level. Like, I so get it. And I was like, screw it. Like, I couldn't even take a leave of absence. I couldn't do anything. So I was like, I'm done. Like, I just quit. I quit. I'm done. I'm out. Like, this is it. And now I'm living this like life where I have no benefits. I have no guarantees, but like, whatever.
But a little bit of happiness.
Sick, but more than just a little bit. Like, I mean, now I'm on this crazy adventure. So I got here on the 20th of September. I worked 5 days in a row, and then I had 4 days off. And on my third day, and I was there, and I was like, what am I gonna do for my 4 days off? Like, I know I really want to go to St. John's, but like, I don't know anyone yet. I don't know. Do I just go? And then I thought, I was like, Emma, who are you? Of course you're just going to go to St. John's. So I told all the girls at work, I was like, yeah, can you help me figure out how I'm going to get there and stuff? And they're like, you're going to St. John's alone? Like, you want to do it alone? I'm like, yeah. Like,
do you see any other options here?
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up taking the bus down to St. John's, and I stayed in a hotel. And so another big reason why I wanted to come to Newfoundland is the music. We've talked about music a lot, but music here just feeds my soul. It's so like, I love East Coast music. I love the dancing. I love the party. Like, I love the storytelling too. Like, they all have these great stories to tell. And so anyway, so on last Saturday night, I got to St. John's, right to my hotel room at like 9:30 at night, changed, and I hit George Street running. Nice. That was what I was going to do. And so I walked into this bar called O'Reilly's, which is a very well-known bar on George Street, and well-known for live music. I walked in and I sat down, and it all just like, it was the moment, right? Like, you're sitting there, you're listening to the band. I ended up like meeting a couple of the musicians that were on stage, and like, I met a bunch of people there. I danced the whole night, like had like the best night. This was like first night there. I'm like meeting all these people, having like the best time.
Yeah.
So, it was just awesome. It was awesome. So then the next day I like kind of puttered around. I actually did like a big hike up Signal Hill. Signal Hill is so like St. John's is really well known for being like the port for like the first couple world wars and stuff like that. So there's a ton of history.
Right.
And so this is like just me first getting into like the travel nursing, just getting into St. John's, being on my first like solo adventure. I've never traveled alone. Like I don't know, when you went to Europe, did you go alone or did you go with friends?
I went by myself, but I went by myself, but it was a Kentucky tour. So like you get there, you're alone for a day, and then you have a group of 40 savages from Australia that you go and just tear through Europe with and get in fights and dance. And I need to do a couple podcasts just on those 2 Kentucky tours a day.
100%.
It was wild. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's okay. So I've never traveled alone. Right. I haven't really done that. And this is like very, very alone traveling.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because like that day I thought, I don't know what the day's going to bring, but I think I kind of want to go up to Signal Hill. Maybe I'll take a cab. Oh no, like I think I'll just walk. And so it's so different to like travel on your own and not have an itinerary, not have anyone else's, ideas in your head of what they want to do. Like I just got to do my own thing. And I was hiking up Signal Hill, and I kind of stopped at this one spot, and I'm reading all this history and like, this one spot. And then I kind of get out and I'm like sitting there, and I go onto this rock, and I'm sitting and looking out the ocean, like looking out to like St. John's Harbor. And you've probably seen pictures. You probably saw my pictures.
Yeah.
Like,
I've been following.
It's beautiful. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is it. Yeah. This is what I did. This is it. This is the moment. Like, I have not felt this much relief and this much happiness and this much like just freedom ever. Like I've had such a rough year, and this is like the moment, you're there and you're just like, this is why I'm here. And it was just like, it was just like a very emotional moment, having that like realization, like, and I'm, totally alone, sitting there on this friggin' rock on the edge of a cliff, like looking over the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. And you're just like, wow, I did it. You did it. I did it. Like, it was so cool. Cause like, I'm there for music, I'm there for work, but I'm also there for me and for like these experiences and for traveling. And so, I hiked all the way up. I did this like crazy, it was intense. Yeah. I got up to the top, like, and then hiked my way down, went to this like random brewery in like this tiny little like port with like these guys fishing and like over top of ocean. It was just like, it was just so cool. Like my whole day, I was like, I don't know where I'm ending up. I don't know what I'm planning on doing, but I'm just going for it. And I just found like all these crazy cool spots. It was awesome. And then, it was just like, it was just so cool. Like,
it just sounds like such a cool manifestation of this newfound freedom. Like I feel like I'm feeling just a taste of it. Like just on Friday was the first day, October 1st was the first day. And I went to a private jujitsu lesson in the morning. And then I was driving to grab lunch at this place I go to every day to get lunch. It's called Fresh. It's just a chain place, but it's my one healthy meal a day. And I love it. But just that feeling of like, it's a weekday and I'm doing what I want. And then later on, I was interviewing a really high level pro fighter, and I'm obsessed with MMA and stuff, and just like think like, man, this is my life, and like this is day one, and it's I'm not doing anything that's that out of the ordinary. It's like a pretty normal day. It's for anybody else watching, this could be just me on a weekend, right? But the fact that it was a Friday and I was doing it just felt that. But I was like, man, I'm so excited to do the bigger versions of really taking this freedom and doing it right. You know what I mean? And like
totally.
And hearing what you're doing is you're doing it really right. Like you're taking it to the 10th degree, to the nth degree of just taking that freedom that you so desperately fought for a year, right? And really earned, and then running with it completely, and not just doing like, not having to be at work, but you're doing everything you love. And I just love it. It's so beautiful. And it's really getting my head spinning of what I need to do, because I feel like I fought so hard for this freedom. I need to really almost honor that by living that life. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like
100%. Yeah. You have to. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, right? Like every day that I have off when I'm not at work, I'm adventuring. I'm out.
I've seen it. Yeah. It's awesome. You're always hiking somewhere, seeing some beautiful sight or going to play some music. That's awesome.
Yeah. So then so back to St. John's,
Yeah.
the next night I hit George Street again. And my plan, I walked down there, and the first place I heard live music, that's where I was going to eat. And that's where I was going to start my night. So I started my night at this one spot called Shamrock City Pub.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that was playing was really great. He came down on all his intermissions. He was talking to me a little bit. We were chatting about music, and then I met up with another person that I met the night before, and we ended up just going all down St. John's, all down George Street.
Yeah.
And so we went to each different bar. So once one show would end, we go to a new one. Once that show would end, we go to the next one. Once that one would end, we go to, and we created this group of people that just started following us along.
Not surprised at all.
I know. I was wearing, so this is really funny. I was wearing a
pink jumpsuit.
A neon pink fanny pack, because I didn't bring a purse with me. I didn't bring a purse. So I brought a fanny pack. Whatever, it's fine. And, and then I have these killer red boots that I brought all the way from Alberta, and I'm like, I am wearing these every chance I get. So I look hilarious, but I don't care. I think I look phenomenal, but with my neon pink fanny pack and my bright red boots. We're going along. We went to this one bar. They started playing Cadillac Ranch, and Alberta, you gotta line dance, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they don't line dance in Newfoundland, but I line danced in Newfoundland.
The one person.
And everyone was just this is me, right? This is surprise you
none of this surprises me even an iota. I'm just listening to people that are probably hearing this and probably who is this lady? I'm like, I'm not even surprised at all. This is so par for the course.
I know. Yeah, only person on the dance floor dancing Cadillac Ranch. And so then that's where the group formed. They were all this girl in the red boots with the fanny pack dancing Cadillac Ranch all by herself. Who is this chick, right? Yeah. So we move our way along, meeting all these people. So then my nickname on George Street became Fanny Pack.
Nice.
So people started yelling from across, "Oh, Fanny Pack's here!" I'm like, wow, my name's Emma, but I'll take it. Whatever, it's fine.
Take what I can get. We'll work on that later.
Yeah, minor detail. But this is the thing. I just met all these crazy people, and it wasn't all Newfoundlanders. I met people from Ontario, people from Quebec, people from everywhere. It was really cool. It was such a fun experience. And then the next day, I'm sitting at this brewery, and this guy beside me, he starts chatting me up. He's quite a bit older. He's traveling for work. He's got grandkids, and I seen there, starts kind of talking to me and asked me what I'm doing. I'm here for travel nursing. He's like, "Oh, that's so cool. I travel as well." And then he asked me what I do for fun. I'm like, "Oh, I'm a musician."
Yeah.
Homie's a musician too. We sat there for 2 hours at this brewery, just totally random on this patio, talking music and talking travel and talking life. And he just gave me so much. His name's, I probably will never listen to this, but his name's Peter. And Peter just it was that moment of him talking to me and being again, it was one of those moments where it's I would never meet this guy, but this guy is just feeding into my soul, giving me all this great advice and all this encouragement of being you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Being here, being a musician, meeting all these people. Oh, and okay, sorry, it's so random, but I totally met someone famous on George Street, and I fangirled so hard. Yes. I met Ronnie Powers from the original Irish Descendants. I probably have no idea who he is, but I know. And I met him on George Street. I saw him and I was like, and I fangirled so hard. We sat down together, and I'm talking to him, I love Irish Descendants. I know you guys. You're so. I couldn't even talk. I was so excited. I made him take a selfie with me, and he's like, "So you're a musician too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in a band." He's like, "Well, show me your stuff." And I'm like, "Ronnie Powers wants to see my stuff. What? This is not happening." I show him my band stuff. I'm like, "Someday, I want to win a Juno." He's like, "Oh yeah, my Juno's up on my mantle by my fireplace. You'll get there someday. You're awesome." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Ronnie Powers. He's like, "We're friends on Facebook."
Wow.
Ronnie Powers.
Look at you go.
I know. I was just, all these crazy things, sorry, all these stories just keep coming back to me. And it was literally 3 nights on George Street, and it was just the coolest thing. So the last night I did end up performing on George Street. Yeah. We found this. Oh my gosh, I almost cried. I was like,
I bet.
It was in this total crappy little dive bar. There was probably
my cheeks hurt from smiling so much.
It's a good thing,
I know it is, but
you're welcome.
But they're sore. I'm telling you. Sorry.
Anyways, you're fine. Oh, I know. I'm getting like so excited here. But anyways, so I found this bar and I was talking to this guy who knew the people that were on stage. So they were doing a bit of an open mic. And he's like, oh, you play? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, let me introduce you to these guys. So I'm introduced and they're like, yeah, get on stage. You should play. So I'm in this like crappy little dive bar. There's honestly probably like 15 other people in this bar. Like, but I don't care. Like I do
Still
not
George Street.
care. It's George Street, right? So I get up in my pink fanny pack, my red boots on stage, like playing. And it was like, and I had the whole bar singing with me. Like,
what song did you play?
Like Zombie, of course. I very 90s my theme. So I played Zombie by the Cranberries. And then I played Got You Where I Want You, which people probably don't know. It's by the Flies. It's a really shitty one-hit wonder, but it's like the greatest song ever. And then I played Four Non-Blondes, What's Up? Okay. Which is also like everyone in the bar knows that song. Everyone's singing along with you and stuff. And so I got to play a little set and like it was so I was like, this is why I came. Like everyone loves live music here. Like I just got to do my thing, be on stage, like play, make people happy, make people smile, make people sing along with you. And again, it's just me and the guitar, but like, you have that intimacy with the crowd that like everyone just is singing along, having a good time. It was awesome. It was so awesome.
That's so cool. And and just hearing kind of your whole story of what you've been up to lately and the freedom and how it makes you feel. It brings me back to something that I've talked about a ton on the podcast so far. And again, apologies to people that have heard this a million times already, but it seems like for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, I don't know how hippie you are, but it seems like the universe kind of sends you some signs when you're making decisions and when you change paths and you go on, you kind of get these signs of what you're doing. And I found that immensely when I started this podcast, and from the moment before I had even told anybody, from the moment I made that decision in my head and I ordered this desk and a couple of I think these mics and my Zoom recorder first, like I hadn't told a soul in the world, but I knew in my head, I'm starting a podcast. I'm doing that. From that moment, just all these little things started falling into place. And when in my life, when I'd get away from it and I wasn't putting everything towards that, or I was kind of getting away from that dream and back, getting sucked into more work, the universe would send me signs. But then when I would really put my ass in gear and really grind for the podcast and take it another step, things would fall into place and just these weird little idiosyncrasies. And it just listening to you hear this of just finding this path that is so clearly the right one. And then to see all these things falling into place around you and all the serendipity, it just, to me, I don't know, probably a lot of people don't believe in that stuff, but it doesn't matter if you do or don't. You just kind of got to be along for the ride. But to me, I really do. And it seems to me like you are just on such a good path right now. And that gets me so excited. I just can't wait to see the next spot and the next spot and the next spot and just all these other things. It's so awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's just, like, it's just such a crazy journey. Like such a crazy, and for people who know me and who have been watching my social media, I'm posting all the time of the different adventures that I go on. But, this is like just one big adventure. And even at the hospital, like every day, I've never worked at another hospital other than the one that I came from. I've never done this. So it's a huge jump, just, yes, leaving home, not knowing anyone, being in a totally different province, all the way across the country, but also like nursing in another province, nursing in another hospital, just, it's so different. But it's super cool. So
language barrier.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You've probably seen some of my posts. My gosh. I have no idea what they're saying. Yeah. So, okay. So if anyone I'll just tell a funny story if that's okay. Of course. You have no idea what they're saying. So for people who know Newfoundlanders, they have the thickest accent, and nobody everyone from a different town talks differently. They also put S's on everything. So, I goes to the stores, that's what they say all the time. I'm okay. But nobody talks the same. Everyone says different things and everyone has different words. So my first day, I'm talking about the nurse educators orientating me, and we're talking about arterial lines. So in Alberta, we have we know arterial lines, but we have a different setup. And I asked her, so do you guys have like a vamp setup when you do your arterial lines? And she looks at me for a second. She's like, my dear, I don't know what vamps are out in Alberta, but here vamps are wool knit socks. And no, we don't have any of those on the unit right now. And I'm like, yeah, awesome. No
Fair
wonder.
enough. Yeah.
And then the other day, this one girl, and this is my new favorite word, she brings out this box of cords and she goes, oh, what a snarl. I'm like, I just started laughing. What is a snarl?
I've heard that one before, I think.
Snarl's a knot. not. It's a not.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I think it's a real old timey word. I've read that in books somewhere. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What a snarl. This girl's like 23 and calling it a snarl. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things. Oh, it's so funny. Like, so yeah, so and they all make fun of me. Like, so I'll pick up the phone, like the phone will ring, I'll go, oh yeah, so I see you. This is Emma. And they say something and I'm like, I'm sorry, let me get you another nurse. And I just hand the phone to someone else. I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah,
like, actually, I'm not even going to try. Like, please help me.
I caught 3 words out of 90. Yeah. I need a hand here.
Oh, my biggest fear is like, so because in ICU, like we're also the code team. So my biggest fear is a code happens and someone yells something at me and I have no idea. Like, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying to me. Speak English. Yeah. And well, they're all wearing the masks, right?
Oh, mask right.
Makes it so much worse.
Wow.
So much worse. Yeah. Like I have no idea.
Hey, but when you come home, you'll speak another language probably. So
yeah. It's very cultural.
Bright side.
Yeah. After like a week being here, I'm talking to my mom on the phone. She's like, Emma, I think you're already starting to sound like something. I'm like, no. Next thing you know, I'll be like, I'll come home and be like, what are you at, guys? Like,
yeah.
Where are you to?
Yeah. It's funny because so much of that lingo, because, being in the oil field in Alberta, so many people are from Newfoundland and that talk almost just becomes like, Newfie talk is almost oil field talk a little bit too. Like where are you at there by? Like we're always saying that shit. Like that's just kind of how we talk. And like all like half of our drivers and dispatch crew, like at work, is all from Newfoundland. Right. And they, it doesn't come out as much, but then when they start talking and then you get a group of 4 or 5 and then it really starts to come out and say, holy man, guys, like I can usually talk to you. I can't even catch 3 words of this yet. No, it's
no. It's and the more alcohol they ingest, you might as well just, you just nod. Mm-hmm. That's all you do.
Yeah.
Because
nod. Yeah. It's like talking to someone from Ireland. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Oh, especially when alcohol's flowing.
Oh yes. Not to change pace completely, but when you were kind of telling the story of like the evolution of the band, you had mentioned when you were auditioning for that first kind of metal band that was your first time getting into songwriting.
Yeah.
And it sounds like along that journey that has become more a part of it, but it seemed like that was very foreign to you at that time. I'm curious about that because songwriting is a very different skill. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people they just want to play music. They don't want to write it. I'm curious where that falls into your kind of categories of the parts that you enjoy. Have you found a love for songwriting since then?
Totally. Oh yeah. Well, so, and again, I'm going to go back to what you say, you have to be a little bit egotistical and a little bit arrogant and have a little bit of that confidence to be like, I've got something to say and I want people to hear it. And it's the same with you, with your podcast. Like I have something to say and I want to share that.
Yeah.
And so when I started songwriting, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just winging it. But like, so I've been playing music for years. Like I did classical piano. I took theory classes. I took all sorts of different courses where, I know the music side of things, the chord progressions, writing riffs. Like, I can do that part. The music.
I have no idea any of it.
It's come very naturally to me. And so I can do that part. Lyrics, however, and some people are so different. Some people are like, oh, the music's really hard. Lyrics are easy.
Yeah.
Lyrics are tough because like it's you have to be arrogant to be like, I've got something to say and I want people to hear it and I want people to know. But then you also have the confidence that when you write something like, oh, I think that's trash or, oh, I think that's really good. You have to really believe what you're writing.
Right.
And really have a passion for it. Otherwise it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to believe. Yes. You have to really believe in what you're saying and really believe your message that you want to portray in order for the song to even be anything of substance.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It makes 100% sense. It needs to have that animating spirit behind it. I think a lot of times I can equate that to joke writing with comedians. They talk about, you have to believe the jokes, right? Like, and a lot of times they're saying the same jokes over and over again, right? And doing sets. And if they lose connection with actually believing that the joke is funny and they're just like saying the words, it will fall flat. The crowd will not laugh. They won't find it funny because you're not connected to it. But that's the same thing when you're writing a song. If it doesn't come from somewhere really emotional, if you're just trying to write things to fit A, B, and C and check the boxes, it's not going to come through with that emotional heart that a song needs to have for it all to ring true, right? Like there's some songs that just have such good melodies and such good beats that you don't even listen to the words, but there's some songs that they need that to come through, right? Mm-hmm. And certain songs stand on their own lyrically or musically, but I love those songs that have both that you can listen to. We just did a review of Sob Rock, John Mayer's latest album that me and one of my best friends that's obsessed with John Mayer as well. We went on and we're talking about some of his songs where there's John Mayer songs where the words tell such a beautiful story. And musically, he's such a genius. There's always going to be music on it, but just sometimes just the stories that these songs tell just take you on a journey. But then there's songs where, it's just so musically that the words almost don't even matter. But then what we're talking about was, I love those songs where you can almost listen to them both. Like you can just tune the words out and just let the soul of the song just take you and like take you for a ride. And you can enjoy it, listening to it more articulately and letting the words hit you. And you can almost experience songs two different ways, but it's the same song. And I love that in my music, right? I'm also a fan of both sides, but I love when they can really bring it together and it's got an amazing story with it. And also just musically hits you in that way.
Yeah. So when I listen to music, I'm a very lyrical person. I always listen to the lyrics. And I always have been. That's a big reason I really like the band Our Lady Peace. Their lyrics, like when you really listen, they've got something to say. Yeah. And what they say, like it's very empowering. It's very impactful. And another band that I think doesn't get enough credit for their lyrics, Glorious Sons. If you ever really listen to them, like they've got some really interesting ideas mixed into their lyrics. You're like, wow, like this is interesting when you really listen, because a lot of people don't, but I'm very much so. So that's why I had so much pressure that I put on myself
to make sure you wanted them to have meaning. You wanted to write the songs that you love.
Yes, exactly. But then the other side of things, I love a song where the lyrics make zero sense, like zero sense. For example, the song Float On by Modest Mouse. Have you ever listened to the lyrics of that?
Not really. Not now enough to be able to...
You're going to go back, you're going to listen and be like, this, what? This makes no sense. Yeah. So, but I wanted to write a little bit like that too. Like I wanted to do a little bit of everything. So I wrote one song and we called it Push. And it's actually really cool. It's about, it's a bit about addiction, drug use, and kind of trying to escape reality. But then the theory, the whole base behind it is like, push me to change. Like, I think I can change, but push me to do it. Yeah. And so that song, like I wrote that and I was like, this is the message that I want. Like, I want this to be like, I can change. Like I have an addiction, but like push me, give me the help. Like I can change. And then I wrote this other song that I call Our Time, and the lyrics make no sense. They make sense to me. I wrote it actually about growing up in Airdrie, Alberta. And like, so people from Airdrie, people who knew me, they might pick up on a couple of things that might like make sense to them. But otherwise, like if you're listening, you're like, what is this girl talking about? It makes no sense. But like the idea of it, that I wanted to give it was, it's our time, like we'll make mistakes, but everything will be fine. Like just live in the moment. This is like when you're growing up, like this is your time to really shine and stuff. And so it makes no sense, but to me it makes sense.
And that's all that matters, as long as it makes sense to you. So that, because then it has some sort of structure, has some sort of meaning, and you can pick up on that, even if you don't know that. I think that's, for me, when I hear that makes me think of Hosier. I don't know how to pronounce it. He's one of my favorite artists of all time.
So talented.
But so many of his songs, when you try and like read the words and stuff, this makes no sense, but you can tell there's some meaning to it. It almost makes sense, but it's so ephemeral and so specific to him that it's like, I know this makes sense on sub level, but this is going to take me like 5 years of studying the song just to understand what this message is. But I know there's a message in there. It doesn't seem like just random stuff. It seems like he's really saying something, but it's like, man, it's almost like it's all encoded, right? Like it means something to him. Like, but I love those songs. It just is really hard to sing them and remember them, because I find when the words, if it's not a story that makes sense to me, that I really articulate the story, I struggle to remember the lyrics. Like I cannot play a Hosier song without it in front of me, because the words are so random and like so flowing, and like it doesn't, not much repeating, like always has like new verses throughout the whole thing. Like, oh, but I love that because you can feel that there is a story underneath. So it doesn't matter that it's easily digestible to the layman, right? As long as it has something that means something to you, that's going to shine through in the music, right? And in the enjoyment.
Oh. And the cool part is anyone can interpret it any way they want.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that I love. Like when I hear a song, it hits you in a way. It makes you, it brings you back to a moment. It brings you back to a memory, or it brings you back to, a feeling, right? It just gives you that feeling. Yeah. And so you can interpret it. And I'm going to quote Dave Grohl, because why not? But he said, you can be in a crowd of 90,000 people singing your song, and every single one of those people is singing the song for a different reason.
For sure.
And I love that quote. And I love that idea because it's so true. Like I can be at an Our Lady Peace concert singing every lyric to every song, and it makes me feel a completely different way than the person right beside me singing every lyric to every song.
Yeah.
And that idea when you're writing, that's always at the very front of my head. Like I want to make people feel, but I also want them to be able to interpret it the way they want to interpret it.
Right.
Like the song, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith.
Great. Too.
So he wrote that song. And when people hear it was a love song, like, oh, this is the song for like, we're going to get married and this will be your first dance song. But actually when he played it live, he had pictures of his daughter, Liv Tyler, all over the stage, right? Yeah. Like he was singing it to his daughter. And it's like, that's a really cool, like, that's totally a different interpretation, but a really cool way. Like, I don't want to miss a part of your life. I don't want to miss a thing in like my daughter's life, but then other people could take it as, oh, like, this is the love of my life. This is my partner, So just different ideas like that, I just think are really cool. Yeah. And I love when musicians kind of do that.
Leave the door open to that. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Some people just, they want to specify it too much where it loses a bit of the magic, where it's finding that it's finding that balance between, telling a cohesive enough story that you can tell there's something there, but leaving it open-ended enough that people can attribute their own feelings and what they're going through with it. Yeah. That's totally. That's the magic of it. And that's what I love. Like with something like my favorite, my Alanis Morissette is John Mayer, as you probably already know that, right?
Yes,
like
I do know that very well.
So, right. But that's what it is fun about doing an episode like I did with Mike, my other buddy who's obsessed. Well, I have a lot of John Mayer friends, but he's even a bigger fan than me. And I don't say that lightly. Like he's one of the only people in the world I say, I think he's got me on this one. Right.
Yeah.
But for us to both love this music and be obsessed with it, and like, when we talk about an old John Mayer album, like Continuum, like I think on the last one, we had a really big discussion on it, but to go through those songs and to see how two people that have been that obsessed and gone over these songs with a fine tooth comb can have completely different takes on what that music is. Like it's cool to me. And to hear when he explains how he sees it, like, oh, I 100% get what you're saying and how you get that out of the song. Like I can totally see it. And it gives me a new perspective. And then I go back and listen to him and I can listen to it through a new lens. Right. And I think I struggle to do that with lots of people. The only reason I think I can do that with him is because I know he has that level of fandom where he's got something to say and there's going to be something there, right? Like, I feel like if it was just maybe somebody that listened to a couple or is a slight John Mayer fan or just heard him on the radio and they tried to say like, oh, this is what, maybe it wouldn't hit me in that way where it's like a whole new way to discover the song because I don't have that trust there. And my ego, it makes it tough for me to take recommendations from people that I don't have a lot of trust in their abilities. But with someone like Mike, it was like getting a whole new playlist to go through of just after that conversation. There's so many John Mayer songs and other songs. He showed me a couple great artists that he's listened to. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tom Misch.
No, I haven't.
Oh man, he's just showed me him and he is spectacular talent. I think he's only like 25, 26 and he is spectacular. I think you really like, I'll have to show you him after, but like, it's just so fun to have this. Like, to me, I would have, maybe if you asked me a couple of years ago, I kind of thought like the enjoyment that I've gotten out of John Mayer's music is so kind of capped. Like I'll never stop enjoying it, but like the new ways that I can enjoy it, it's kind of capped. But that's so wrong because there's so many new ways. And there's still songs by John Mayer that I find I've had on my phone for 10 years, but it just plays the one time. You're in that one mood and just hits you different. Like, wow, how have I not listened to the song more? Like, how have I not seen this angle on it? Or you're just in the right mood, or you've gone through a certain life experience that you didn't have at that time. So now that song comes in and kicks you in the teeth in a whole different way. Like, I just love that. Music is just such an amazing thing. And it just,
100%.
The other part of it that blows my mind is when people say they don't like music. I don't know how many people you've met.
I don't meet those people. Those people and I can't jive.
Fair. Yeah. But that's just one of those things where it's just like, man, music is such a big part of my life that I just can't imagine people that don't, right? And it's very rare.
Totally.
It's not like you're meeting people every day that say they don't like music, right? Like I think that's pretty exceptionally rare, but there's maybe some trauma in childhood or something that make you not like, I don't know what it is.
I don't know, but like, I don't think I could ever like be with like, I just can't connect with those people, you know? And even like if in a partner, in a relationship, like I've dated guys who they don't like, music isn't huge to them. It's a big thing. It's like, they like it, but it's not a huge thing. Like, it never works, you know, because it's me, it's my life. Like, you know, it's hard to relate to those people, you know, and like going back to, actually the Nova Scotiables, because love them. I think they're actually, so their newest member, AJ Bagar, I'm going to butcher that. AJ. He's their other lead man. And he writes lyrics that just like, they hit home. Hit so good. Yeah. They just came out with this new album. And the worst part is they came up with this album and COVID hit. Like, they had worked for years on this new album. COVID hit, totally screwed them. They were going to tour like cross Canada with it. But his lyrics, like, there's moments where you're listening and you're just really diving into it. And I'm like, wow, like, he's got something to say. And he's got this ability to make it so you can interpret it in so many different ways. And he actually has like some solo albums too that I've listened to. And I'm just like, man, this guy, like that's the kind of music I want to write. You know, like you take these pieces that other people do and you mix them into your own, like your own lyrics, your own way of writing. Like, actually the way I write lyrics is, and this is so lame, but I write them the way that Neil Diamond writes his music. So Neil Diamond, what he does is he writes the music and then he goes through and he finds the syllables, the amount of syllables he wants to say in a line. And then he writes the lyric based on the amount of syllables. So that's actually how I do it. So I don't write, I write music first and then lyrics. I'll have like some ideas of lyrics, but it'll never be the same with the music. So, because I'm so like, I want to hit a certain melody and I want to hit a certain syllable. And then the words kind of flow in after that. But that's how my brain works. That's how I do it. So I'll have a piece of paper in front of me. I'll listen to the song in headphones and I'll tick the syllables that I want to put. And so however many ticks I have, that's how many syllables I want in that line. And so I write it based on that. Obviously, you know, there's a bit of flow, changing it up. Flow. But that's how I write my lyrics. That's how I write my songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. I've never thought. I'm such a amateur songwriter myself, like just because
me too.
I'm so, but for me, it's different because like when you talk about playing piano and knowing the theory and knowing the music side of it, I'm such a fake musician. Like I know nothing. Like I'm not a musician at all. I always tell people like I pretend to play guitar. I know these chords and I can read like a tab to like make it look like I can play. And I've done it for long enough that I can make a pretty good, farce of pretending I know what I'm doing. But when it comes to writing music, like the only way I've written songs, don't get me wrong, but the only way I've ever done it is just messing around, like stumbling, either stealing something where just like a chord progression or something, or just stumbling, oh, that kind of sounds cool. And then writing words to it. And once I have that, like if I have something to play that I really sound, I'm great at writing lyrics, like not to pat my own back, but I'm really good with lyrics, but the music side, I'm so lost. But that's where I've never really got into a process or anything because it's so random. Like when I can do it, like it's so like, oh, there's not. And also I should probably say, I've only ever written songs about girls. I think I just need to admit this. I don't think I've ever written a song for any other reason. And I think it's just something you just got to admit to, like, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. I didn't want to be a T Swift, no offense. So I don't think I've never really written a love song, to be honest, but
that's, I guess, I think it's just like,
it's what speaks to you, right? It's like something that's, you have to write about what is in your soul, what's in your heart, what makes sense, what feeds you, right? And so totally, I get it. Like I've tried to write them, but I'm usually just angry breakups. I'm not gonna lie. I have a couple of those.
That's so funny. But it's interesting to hear you talk about like the process behind it, because I'm just so far removed from even being able to be at a spot where I could have a process. But But I do really enjoy that, like of writing the words. And I feel like I'm really good with words. I've just, that's always been my thing, right? Like
Mhm.
I read books like a mother, right? Like I would always
Yeah.
read growing up. So I've just had an obsession with language and articulate. And I think I found my way of doing it. Maybe songwriting, it wasn't my avenue that I was destined to go down. Maybe it will be in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll be writing
Yeah.
songs for people in the future, but it's just cool to see different people and how they go about it.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I at first got to see how people can write a song. I mean, there's a million different ways to write a song,
Oh, yeah.
but again, John Mayer, he did a song one time. It's called "In Repair," and he did it.
Love that song.
Oh, such a good song, right?
So good.
Have you
Okay,
have
sorry.
you have you seen the little like mini documentary he did about writing that song? Okay, so
No.
after this, so if you go on, it's only probably, I want to say it's only like 20 minutes, half an hour, but he wrote that song in a day. He brought in Steve Jordan and the drummer from the John Mayer trio, and or maybe it wasn't Steve Jordan. He brought in a couple really amazing musicians and brought in all this equipment, like all these pedals, and just went to this recording studio in New York. And they wrote a song in 24 hours, just like with these minds of just what they went in. And he's plugging all these pedals together, and he lands on this noise they can make his guitar. And it's like an organ.
Mhm.
And that's like that organ kind of sound that is through like the main like backbone of that whole song. But he's doing it on guitar, and just like watching them just find that first riff where he like plays that, and then to watch them build the song out from there and get it kind of all together. And then watch John just like, okay, we've got it. And he just takes it into a room, listens to it over and over, and just writes the words to it like as he's going. And like, it was so cool to me to watch like the process of a song coming together, because I love music and I love these songs, but they just come to me like these mysterious presents that just get laid in front of you, because you don't know what goes into them or how they're created, right? They're just so this weird ephemeral thing that you just kind of get to enjoy as a fan. It was so cool to see like a little bit of understanding into that. And like I say, that's one way to do it. I'm sure there's a million ways to do it, but man, that changed my way of looking at music, was watching that little video and get to see like how it would work just in my own head of, if ever something got to that point of just knowing how a song is put together and just to be a part of that process. Because to me, it was like, I would never be able to help probably with the music part. Like if other people were playing, I have a good ear and I could probably say, oh, that sounds good, or that doesn't sound good. And I could maybe try to articulate, try and do this thing. I couldn't tell you how to do it, but maybe make it do a little bit more of a, you know what I mean? Like I could do that stuff, but just to see like, oh, but if you did all that, and then you gave that song to me, like what John Mayer went and did in that and told me, write words to this. I feel like I could really do that and I'd be really good at that. But it's like, oh, that's kind of cool just to see the different rules that kind of break down of making a song, like all the different things, and to know that you don't need to, because I always just had myself in this box of, I'm not a musician. I'm a fake musician. I don't really know how to do this stuff. And so to me, I would have no role in making a song. I don't fit anywhere in there. But with the skills that I do possess, there is still a role, right? You maybe couldn't put a whole song together, but if you had help, you still could play a part in that and still like make music. I feel like that kind of opened the door back up to me of like, oh, well, maybe it's not so like far out of reach. And then to hear you talk about like a whole different way of like writing music and to listen like all these other artists I love and hear their processes of how they do it. Oh, it's so much fun. I love it.
Have you read much so I'm really into reading biographies about musicians. Have you read much? So I read an Alanis one, of course.
I bet you have.
Yeah. And I read one on, so I'm like Rush. Love them. Love. So I read Neil Peart's song, The Road to Recovery, something like that. It's about him going on a motorcycle and just driving, because he had like a really rough life. Like his daughter died and then his wife died of cancer, like really close. Yeah, he had a really rough life, and then himself just recently died of cancer. But anyways, he wrote this book about this motorcycle journey, just trying to find recovery, but then wrote about how he actually, like as the drummer, wrote a lot of the lyrics, wrote a lot of the songs with Rush, how much effort and how much time he put into doing that. And then like, as he's writing in a journal, that's what the book is. And he kind of writes different things that he sees along the way. And then they come into Rush songs, which is just super cool. So like, as you're walking along, you see something and you're like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Write it down. And then later on it becomes a hit song. Like it's just, same thing. Like I don't really watch a lot of, like, obviously any music documentary I'm going to watch, but like reading their mind frame, reading about like how they do it is just, it's just different, right? It's just very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I do get that a lot just through my medium, right? I don't read a lot of books, but what I love is, I'm a big podcast fan. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan's, and what Joe Rogan is really great at, in my opinion, is he's so obsessed with talent and how people's processes, right? Like when he has comedians on, he always asks, how do you write? Like, because comedy is the very same way. You can write on stage, you can be very, just writing all the time and just having it very scripted where you're pretty much taking exactly what you had written down and trying that on stage. And then you might tweak it at home and then try something else on stage where some people are much more free flow. But he started to have on musicians as well. I mean, he's always had random people on, but he does the same thing and he'll ask them, well, how do you process? Because he's very curious about how do you write? And to hear these people, like, I'm trying to think of examples now off the top of my head, just musicians he had on, he always asks that question and you get to hear them break down and it's always different. It's always vastly different of how they go about writing, and just to see that there's so many millions of different ways of going about this, but just to see at the high level, like, what are these different avenues that have been completely laid out because there's someone that's doing it at the highest level. Like, this is something you could take, or you could take pieces from it. Maybe it doesn't work for you completely, but you could learn something from it. Maybe just a little piece of,
like I totally stole someone else's idea on how they write music.
Exactly. Right?
Own, yeah. But it works, right? You know, I've obviously tweaked it in my own way, but it works. And you just have to figure out the medium that makes it make sense in your head and then go for it. And I think that, obviously I think my way that I'm going to start writing music will forever evolve and forever change. It'll never be the same for every single song, but at least getting this initial start to it. And like when we're writing songs as a band, a lot of times to write the actual music, like I wrote a couple chord progressions that I liked, and then we made that into a song. Or, Trevor, our bassist, will come up with a really sweet bass line. And then John will come up with the drumming beat behind that. And then Steve would come up with the riff to go to that. And then it would just be me to come in and be like, okay, this is the melody that I want. Here's the lyrics that I want. And then we just take off from there. And
that's what sounds so cool to me, of just like having other people to fill some of the gaps, because that's exactly it. I would love to write music, but there's so many things holding me back. So I can't get any practice doing it, because the only time I can practice it is if I just stumble upon something that I can turn into it. But if I had some sort of process or some sort of help with other people to start doing that, that's exactly it. It's all about time doing it and getting that practice, actually figuring out what your process is. What do you and don't you like? You don't know until you find some way to at least get started, and then you can figure it out from there. But, and that's kind of the same thing I did with this podcast. I don't know what kind of podcaster I'm going to be, right? Like, do I want to, be more Joe Rogan style, like Freeman, right? Do I want it to be more produced? I don't really know that, but all I knew is that I need to just, full on copy someone at the start, and I'm going to figure it out along the way, and I'm going to find my own voice and find what's authentic to me. And that might take 5 years, 6 years, but the only way I'm going to get to 5 or 6 years is to start now and really put everything towards and get as much practice in. So I'm doing, one podcast a week is probably not going to cut it. I'm probably going to need to do, 4 or 5 a week to actually get the kind of practice and get to the place where I want to be, where I'm happy with it. And I couldn't do that with what I was doing. I had to make that change. Right. And there was still a lot of factors that go into it. But I know that at the strip away all the other stuff, I know that to be true, that for me to get to where I want to go, I don't have what I need to be able to put that effort in right now. And I need to make a change. Right. And there's a lot of other things that come with those changes, but I don't know, at the end of the day, that's what it comes back to. And that's the main thing. All that other stuff is periphery, right? It can be figured out on the fly, and I am figuring it out on the fly, and I'm going to continue to keep figuring it out on the fly. But that forward momentum is so important. That's the message I hope that my podcast can spread to people. And I love having people like you on that are doing exactly what I'm talking about, of just recognizing that and taking whatever that leap is. All the consequences be damned, like just figure it out, right? Like that's so important to people. And I just wish that was more taught at a younger age. I feel like that's something you almost naturally discover with life experience. 100%. But everyone's going to have a different amount of life experience it takes to recognize that. Some people recognize that at 50, sometimes it's at 70, and they've worked their whole life and they recognize, man, I busted ass and did these things, but it wasn't really wanted to do. And I probably would have done it differently. But knowing that, I wish we would start teaching that to kids, of like, and it's silly because there's all these cliches of follow your dreams and all that, but it seems like that's in words, but with our actions and what we actually teach kids, we don't teach them to do that. No, it's, we tell you follow your dreams, but actually just don't ask questions, sit in the seat and get this degree and go sit in this job and work it for the next 40 years. Right. Like, man, I wish we'd tell people more. There's more out there for it. Like, that might be your path and that might be fine, and you might be really happy with it, but there's a million other things out there that you could try. And that's not the one path you need to go down.
100%. And like, there's an algorithm, right? That they teach you. And you and I, we both did it. We did you graduate high school, you go right to university, you get your degree, you get out of your university degree, you get the job, you work your butt off at the job. And then then for me, like, I was like, okay, well, now I'm buying the house. Okay. Well, now I'm buying the house. I worked for another 2 years, like, and I worked my way up really quick in the hospital, from med surge to ICU, worked really hard in ICU. And then, 2 years into that, I'm like, I'm not happy with this life.
Exactly.
This isn't I did it right, and things aren't, this isn't working.
Yeah.
I did what I was supposed to do. I, made the parents happy, made everyone proud. Like, you do that, and then right. And then you realize, like, but I did it for everyone else.
Yeah. And I'm fucking miserable.
Oh. Yes. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to be like,
I'm just saying,
bashing my parents.
Yeah.
No, right. Like, I don't want to bash my parents because and you're the same. You work for your dad's company. There's nothing against what the parents taught us that was wrong. It wasn't working, and it wasn't what was making you happy.
Right.
And so now, like, then I was just like, okay, so what is going to make me happy? And I think the cool part, and I think you'll kind of really relate to this too, is like, my mom was very much so like, we'll figure it out. We need to figure out what's going to change for you to be happy, what's going to change for you to feel fulfilled. And then she's just been nothing but supportive the whole way along, right? Like, my brother's living at home right now, helping my mom with my cat and my dog, and my dad's been really supportive, and my mom, like, they're being supportive so that I can do this, so I can do this crazy journey. Yeah. And I think, so no, like, I'm not bashing them for what they said. Like, I did it right. I did everything right. And I'm not bashing them for, telling me what to do in the time. But now it's like, okay, this isn't working. Let's figure out what will actually work now. And now I'm just like, I haven't been this happy in like a year, almost, since COVID, right? Like,
exactly.
This is like, what I want. This is what I'm doing. And I know you relate so well to this, which is really cool that we're in this like same journey right now.
It is. And that's what and it's so tough because so much of the unhappiness that I was feeling and all that, it's so hard for that not to be internalized and felt like that was, like I'm attacking, my parents for the path that they tried to put me on. And every time I talk about it, it comes across and they get their feelings hurt every single time. Right. Because that's what it feels like. And what I'm trying to tell them is like, no, this is not like, I never would have, if I wouldn't have gone down this path, I never would have found this podcasting journey. I never would have figured that out. I would, and even if I had found it, I wouldn't have the skills. Like, sure, it's caused a lot of unhappiness, but the skills that I've built up by hopping into that job at 23 years old and figuring this stuff on the fly, like the skill acquisition, I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change it anything because I feel the confidence in myself to take this leap and go after. I never would have had that if I wouldn't have seen, hey, I can come into a company of this size and do the work that I did and put my intellect up against these people that have been in the industry for 50 years and done it. And I'm blowing them out of the water in these meetings with all these adults. I'm sitting there at 23 and they're all like idiots. And I'm like just walking all over. That gave me confidence to be like, oh, I can do this stuff. And I don't need to apply it to just this thing because that's what I'm enforcing. I can take all those skills and apply it to something I love and really find that happiness. Right. But it's hard to explain it to them and just say like, this is not in any way negative. I don't regret. I have zero regrets out of anything. The only thing that I'm starting to have regrets is that now I know that this is the change I need to make and I'm not doing it. I'm not taking that leap. And every day that I'm not that's what's eating me up. I don't regret anything that I've done. The only thing I'm regretting is each day that I don't jump at this journey because now I know, right? Before before I made that switch, like I mentioned that one day where I first did my first meditation when I was more depressed than I'd ever been in my life. And I recognized I need to start this podcast and I ordered that stuff. Like in that, I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, just in that moment, right? Like you recognize something and you recognize how much you've been lying to yourself in the past. And I had been really lying to myself about what I wanted to do. But from that moment, I knew I had to make a change. And I did make that change. I started that podcast, right? But then there became another time where I recognized, yes, I'm doing both. I'm splitting time and I'm trying to, run this business and get this podcast off the ground. I'm doing all this stuff. I know that it is just causing me so much unhappiness. And I know the change I need to make. And everyone told, well, just quit the podcast, just go back to work. And I would get it would hurt nothing crushed my soul more than that. And have people that are really close to me and know, or in my own head, I thought you should know how offensive that would be to say that to me. Right. But they just, and it's like, right. Like you just don't get it. And you can't blame people for not understanding this is a weird venture. But from that point of realizing that, hey, this is the move I need to make. I need to make a really big change where I put a lot of emphasis on this podcast, and this is going to have to take a back seat from every day past that I didn't, or like, and I was trying to say, like, I was screaming for help of like, I can't do this. I'm miserable. Like I'm depressed as all hell. I can barely go to bed. Like I'm so ridiculously unhappy. Like I've never felt like this in my life, and trying to scream and nobody's helping you. And then just, I gotta be selfish, guys. Okay. I've probably 6 months of, hey, saying like, somebody help me. My hand's up. I'm drowning. My nose is just above water. Help. And nobody's taking on it. Just, well, fuck you guys. I'm taking it then. I'm making this decision and I'm changing it. I don't care what comes with it. Right. Like that's, it's a weird place to be. Right. And you have all these support systems around you that are all trying to help you, and they're trying to help you in your own way, but you know what you need. And anything less than that is just frustrating, that, you know, the help that's being offered is not the help that you need. And then people are mad because they're like, well, why aren't you taking my help? Why is this not helping? Right. And they get frustrated because in their heart, they want to help you, but it's just, I'm telling you what I need, and anything less than that is not going to change anything. Right. And like you say, that feeling on Friday of the first day of just freedom, like, and today, to have this be a Sunday, to know I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Right. Like I might still do some work stuff tomorrow just because the transition didn't go how I wanted to. And there's still a lot that's expected of me, and I'm going to have to do with work, but at least this is the first step towards it. Like to know that if I want to, I could go get fucking piss hammered tonight and be hungover tomorrow morning and not have to go to work on a Monday. And it doesn't matter. I'm obviously not going to do that because I have no reason to. I have no one to drink with here, but like that, just to know I have that freedom is so amazing. And just that feeling of happiness, and just, you know, I'm dancing around the house again. I'm, you know, and I never stop dancing, but like I can tell my mental health by how much dancing happens in a day. And like the dancing ratio has gone so far up, and it's so quick, like just to feel it's going to take a long time to get back to my old self. I know that, but to start feeling it's starting to drip in, and I'm starting to feel like the old Nick again. Like, oh, is that a refreshing feeling? Like, man, I miss this. This is awesome. Like, and I can't wait to get more of it. I feel like I'm still kind of shell shocked, and it feels like it hasn't changed. A little bit has, but I'm just excited for tomorrow and the next day and next week. And all the things that I'm starting to plan things of like, oh, I can go down to Calgary for a week and record episodes for 7 days straight with all these people I've wanted to record with in Calgary. But, you know, it's tough when you're working a job that's really hard on you 5 days, and then to try and plan a trip to drive 7 hours down to Calgary for a 2-day weekend and record 2 episodes. Like that's tough. But now to have that, like, that's awesome. Like I have the freedom to go wherever and record wherever and do whatever. And I got to figure out a way to make money because, you know, the savings are going to blow through quick. But I would take that fear of having to figure that out over the fear of that trap feeling of I'm never going to get out of this. I'm never going to be able to chase my dreams any day. Like just the happiness I'm feeling is amazing. And I just, it's hard even to, I feel like it's fun to talk to you because I feel like you understand this, but it's hard to be on a podcast and just thinking like, so there's going to be so many people that have no idea, just cannot equate to this. Like, but but to be able to have a conversation like this just feels amazing. And it's fun to articulate. And I'm excited to do this again with you in like 6 months and see like we both kind of jump to this journey at the same time and just do like a check-in of like, okay, how's the first 6 months been? Totally. How's the journey been? And then the 6 months after that, and just to keep going out, because I have the confidence that I'm never going to give up on this journey. And I'm always going to roll it through. And I could see that from you, like years ago, I already just knew like, there's nothing going to stand in front of this kid, right? Like she's going to knock down walls. Right. And it's so much fun to watch. And I think it's just, there's a message to be said about surrounding yourself with those like-minded people that can find something like that and are going to pursue it with that same single-minded fury that you need to really pursue a dream like that. And just because that gives me fuel, right? To see you doing that gives me fuel. And like just to surround yourself with more people that are doing that. Exactly. Just to build off of it and not surround yourself with those people that are stuck on the hamster wheel. You know, you have to have compassion for those people too, and try and lead by example and maybe try and show them a better way. But you don't need to just get stuck in that doldrum of that, because that was, you know, at work all the time, you're talking to people that are in that and just you're commiserating with them and just, you know, I hated just talking all week with people just being like, just another day, just getting through till the weekend and stuff. It's like, man, I don't want to be doing that when I'm 50.
No, of course.
Man, I don't know.
Of course.
But it's exciting.
It's very exciting. Sorry, I got to plug my laptop. Hang on.
No worries. Plug it in.
Oh my gosh.
Plug it in.
I should have just left it plugged in, but I did not. Oh God. This cord, I'm sorry.
Is it a snarl?
It is a snarl.
I'm not just a pretty face, Emma. I'm not just a pretty face. I'm here for a reason.
God, what a snarl.
Oh, man.
Okay, we're good. Back on track now. Plugged in.
So I'm curious. I know you kind of mentioned the Juno as something in your head, and that's tangible. That's something you can kind of shoot for, and it keeps that forward momentum that we talked about earlier. That's so important. But I'm curious, kind of just in the next kind of like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, like what are your musical dreams? Like what kind of things? I know like playing on George Street was one of those ones, right? Like what are kind of the more tangible little things that you see yourself that would be cool to you and meaningful to you? Like probably playing another year of what was it? Valley Fest? What'd you call it?
Valley Fest
2022, right? That's probably one of them that's coming up. What else is on that list of things that you are excited to accomplish? I don't want to say that you wish to accomplish because I know you're going to accomplish all of them. I'm just saying when you do accomplish them.
So to be honest, right now, I don't have a plan. I don't really have like a plot of a plan. I've got nothing. I know I'm going to be in Newfoundland and honestly, I'm probably going to extend here because I'm having way too much fun. And then I know I want to take like Christmas off, and otherwise, like I don't really know. I don't know where this is taking me, but it's kind of cool to like just go with the flow and figure it out. But musically wise, like I think that if I'm going to actually really do music, I'm going to kind of have to slow down the travel a little bit. It's going to be hard to do both. But what I think right now, what I want to do is I want to do the music while traveling. I want to meet musicians from all over. And that's like, that was the coolest part about George Street. Like I met so many people, so much talent, and talking to these people and talking about like, okay, so what's your normal week like? And they, and talking about like, they've got regular places that they go and play, and what's their day job, stuff like that. And so I think right now, like that's really where I want to take this. I want to kind of meet musicians, and hopefully we get the band back in Edmonton kind of up and running a little bit. The boys are like so supportive of me traveling right now, like unbelievably supportive. They're so proud and so happy for me, like that I was going to do this, because I mean they've been with me since the beginning of COVID. They know how like rough it's been. They know that I needed this. So I would like to work with the band and kind of keep that going. To be honest, I mean, I'd love to win a Juno with the band. Like that'd be sweet. But no, there's, I want to get a new band going. Not a new band, because I want John and Trev will always be like, we're the core.
The band. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We need a good guitar player to fill us out. But anyways, no, I want to keep playing music, and I want to keep traveling, and I want to keep meeting these musicians. Like that's what's been feeding my soul this entire time, is like talking to different people who love music and talking to people who play like that's what they do with their lives. And, and I don't think I'd ever want to pursue a solo career. That's not something I'll ever want to do. Like, I think I'll always want to be a band girl. And don't get me wrong, I love playing solo, but I love the feeling of having other people on stage that sharing
creating a moment.
Yes. And sharing what we created. Like, I don't want that feeling of like, oh, it's just me. Like I want like the band. I want the crew behind me that like, we've done this together, So I think that like, for example, the Beaches, you heard them, like they're super. I
don't think I have.
Okay, so they're an all-female group from Ontario. Also, I'm really into Canadian music, if you haven't already noticed. But they're an all-female group from Ontario, and I've been listening to a couple podcasts of like how they came about doing their stuff, and like they're just a sweet, powerful, up-and-coming all-girl group. I don't think I'll ever be in an all-girl group, but what they're doing, like they're really pushing themselves, and they're really becoming something, and I think that's so cool. And like the way that they have this. Just the group, the group atmosphere. You're not doing it alone. You're not sharing this. Like you have someone to share it with. You have someone to share this excitement with. And that's what I really want. I want that kind of idea of, just of a group. So I'm hoping we just keep, we get a new guitar player, we just keep playing, but also I just keep traveling and meeting people that play music as well and sharing that passion and then getting the opportunity to play solo in different places as well. Yeah. Just pushing myself and playing and just kind of seeing where it goes, I guess.
I go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The end goal, Juno.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's awesome to have something at the end that you can always, because I think that if you always have something out in front, it's always pushing you forward. Right. And you're going to have to find little mini goals in between. Right. And another thing I really enjoyed of what you said there is, this being fulfilled by meeting people in the industry and getting to take in all this knowledge about, what the life of a musician is like and all the connections you're making. it's great that you find something that fills your cup. Like that's always the reference I like to use, but also at the same time is actively helping you, because all those connections are going to pay off down the road, right? All that knowledge of what it's like and the lessons you can learn from other people that you don't need to learn yourself is all paying off. You're like, it might not feel directly like you're doing the work that's going to put you in the place to win that June in the future, but you are, right? Like that's exactly what it is. You're surrounding yourself with the right people, doing the right type of work that is putting in that building that base of understanding that's necessary.
Yeah.
If you ever want to get to that point. So I love hearing that. And it's so great that it's not a slog to you, that you're finding the ways that you enjoy it, and you're it's like working, but it's not a job because you love it. Right. Like, and that's same exactly. thing with this, right?
Yeah. It's like travel nursing, right? Like I love being a nurse, and the problem was like back home, like I wasn't loving it anymore with COVID.
Yeah.
I came out here to fall in love with it again. And I already have, like, it was just instant. Right. And like, and the way that I'm doing this now, like I have so much freedom. I make my own schedule. I work when I want to work. So if I like decide that I need to take a step back from nursing and work on music, like that's what I'm going to do, you know, because I've already done the things that I needed to do to establish myself in my career in my life. Yeah. And now it's like, I'm just ready to take that jump and do something different. And I guess the coolest part is like when I tell people like, oh, I want to win in Juno someday, some people look, and I know you'll get this because like, oh, I want to be a famous podcaster, and they just roll their eyes at you. Like, okay, you're the next Joe Rogan. Yeah. But I'm like, but then when you meet the people that are like, yeah, you can do that. Like my mom, number one, she's always like, I'm always like, yeah, someday I'm going to win a Juno. She's like, Emma, you're a rock star. Of course you're going to win a Juno, you know, like I just love people. And like, you know, a lot of my friends, like the Nova Scotiables, like all my other musical friends, like they have no doubt. Yeah. They have no doubt. Like if I put in when I find the group, and I know I'm just going to know when I know that this is the group and this is where I want to go, that it's just, we're going to skyrocket.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so, you know, like it's a huge goal, but like, why not shoot for the start? Like, why not shoot big? Right.
Why not? And the bigger goal you set, the higher peaks you're gonna achieve in trying to get there too, right? Like if you made your goal, well, I just want to, I'm trying to think of a smaller goal that you could put it, but just even if you are successful, that you just there's higher highs you could have you could have hit, right? Like, and that's why I always look at myself, right? Like, yeah, I want to be like the biggest, best podcaster in the world, because you know what, like, sure, that might be unreasonable to some people in their heads, but why not shoot for the highest you can achieve? Like I love that idea. And I'm glad that you brought the nursing back in it, because when I was asking what your music dreams are, I was curious to then follow it up with your nursing dreams, because when you have a dream like that, sometimes it can become all encompassing and it can really take a lot of gravity. And that's something I've thought with myself and kind of plan my, you know, if the way I see this going in the future, it's going to become a pretty encompassing thing. And I'm already trying to plan for what my life's going to look like around that. I wonder how you see nursing figuring that into when you do find that group that is going to take you to the heights that you want to take. Do you think you'll always, you know, just catch a nursing shift when you're got 3 Junos on the shelf and you're loving that? Do you think nursing will always be a part? Because I kind of do. I mean, I do love. I know you do, and I love it. And I remember that going back to, you know, you walking into my room in Lister to play a song on guitar. I remember you coming in from practicals and telling me these stories of just getting shit on and like, literally shit on and like all these crazy stuff. And you're smiling ear to ear, talking about the stuff of like, just like my literal nightmare. And you were just so happy about it. That was kind of what I was thinking. Like back, my interpretation of you when I was like first getting to know you was just like, this girl is crazy about nursing and crazy about music, right? Like, and I could see both those as like, she's probably going to chase one of these pretty hard. And I don't know which one. It seems like it's both. And like, that's just so cool to me of this new age of, we don't need to settle. You can do whatever you want. And you can find a way that matches you, as long as it makes you happy at the end of the day. And you don't starve in the street, I guess is the other side. Well,
exactly. Like, you know, and I think you and I both, I think we did it right. We established a career. So I'll never starve. You know, the world will always need nurses. I'll always have a job. And the way that I've set myself up right now, I'll never not have work, because I can go back to Edmonton and I have still a casual position. I still have my Alberta license. I'm still going to go back in December and pick up shifts in my old ICU. And then I'm going to come probably back to Newfoundland and pick up shifts here, you know? And I think that if music really does take off, I think I'll always maintain my nursing license. I'll always maintain, like, so that that's never something that goes away because that's always the security. That's always the fallback. But I also love it. I love, I remember when I was a kid, when you're a kid and they tell you to write out a bucket list, things that you want to do.
Yeah.
One thing on my bucket list was to change the life of a complete stranger. And to be honest, you do that every day in nursing, every day.
And with music.
Yes. And with music. Totally. But like every day in my job, I meet people that impact me and that have changed my life, but I've also changed theirs. I've been there in their most vulnerable state and empowered them or empowered their families. Yeah. Or been the person that when they take their last breath, you can make that peaceful. You can make that you can really guide that process. Yeah. You don't get that opportunity in any other field. And so, no, I love nursing, and I've really found my love for nursing out here again. That's great. Which has been really cool. Yeah. And I think, I don't know if I'll always be in ICU because ICU is quite intense and it's hard to be an ICU nurse. Yeah. Physically, emotionally, it's brutal. So I don't know if I'll always stay in the ICU. But I'll always stay in some sort of nursing field.
Even if it's the tour nurse when you're on your world tour, you can still wear your nursing hat when somebody drops a guitar case on their foot or something.
Yeah, exactly. They'll never have to worry about healthcare when we're touring. Yeah. I got you. First aid, got it. You know. But and you still get yes, they get the adrenaline being on stage and being a musician, but you get adrenaline being a nurse and for sure. Especially in ICU, you're you got sick people, you're saving lives, and it's really cool. So no, I don't think I'll ever give it up. I mean, no, because it's so universal. You can literally do anything with nursing, anything. One of the nurses that I worked with, she always said, I want to be a nurse on a cruise ship. And I'm like, wow, that would be pretty cool traveling the world. I couldn't because I get seasick and I'm claustrophobic.
Fair enough. But
what a cool goal, right? That's a great way to do it. Yeah. Or right now I'm traveling Canada and I don't really want to go internationally. I don't know if I ever will, to be honest with you. I have no desire. I'm such a Canadian. I'm a Canadian girl through and through. Yeah. I love Canada. I love just exploring my own backyard and kind of seeing where that goes. But I don't think nursing will ever go away.
Yeah. And that's, and I like hearing you say that about kind of what nursing does, the opportunities it opens up. Cause that's something I'm thinking about too. Maybe I could be a podcaster on a cruise ship. Who fucking knows? Right. You go out for a week trip, you bring 5 guests on the boat that each night you're going to do a live podcast in one of the rooms, right? Where just people come and listen to you talk.
Yeah.
The opportunities are endless. Again, I can't see myself doing that. Maybe do it once just for the fun of saying I did it, but and to travel, right? I could go to Europe you go backpack through Europe, throw 2 mics and a recorder and you lost me. How about now? How about now? How about now? How about now? Well, now you froze. Well, I'm just going to talk to myself. So when I was a kid, what I really wanted to be was a firefighter. That's a lie. I did. I wanted to be a lawyer. And I liked being a lawyer because I like to argue with people. And I liked that people took you seriously and they would listen to your what you had to say. Oh, she's back, but you're muted now. I can't hear a thing you're saying.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you're back.
I don't know what happened there. You just paused. I was like, oh no, I don't know technology. I just kept talking. I told a story about how I wanted to be a firefighter when I was a kid, and then that was a lie, and I wanted to be a lawyer, all this stuff. It was great entertainment. Don't worry. People were not bored for a second. It was the most entertaining part of the podcast, in my opinion. Well, that's rude. I was not
I know. As soon as I came out of my mouth, I was like, that was a super rude thing to say. You shouldn't have said that. Okay. What were we even talking about before?
Oh, I don't know.
Who knows?
I hate technology.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. And that was one of the things of jumping into a podcast. I was saying in my head, I thought, again, this is some big ego talking, but I know I'm going to be so good at this that it's going to take off right away. I'm going to have a producer right away that just jumps in and says, whoa, you're so good at this. I'm going to come in and help you with all the tech side because I'm so not good at that. And to realize that that's not how life works and you just have to figure all this shit out yourself, even if computers are not your strong suit. Yeah. And now I'm trying to get into video game streaming, and that's like podcasting on steroids, like all the knowledge you have to do and like computer literacy. I am so overwhelmed by it. But like,
Yeah, I can
that's what
only
you want to
imagine.
do. If you want to figure out, if you want to chase a dream, you kind of just got to figure it out and not be too intimidated to start, because that's what kept me
Yes.
out of podcasting for so long. So we covered most of your obsessions: Pink, nursing,
Yes.
music,
Yes.
Lannis, and
Janice Joplin now.
Janice.
The
Yes,
dog.
yes. But you're bearing the lead here. This is exactly where I was going. Animals,
Yes.
specifically dogs, but dogs, cats. You, since the moment I met you, obsessed. You could say,
Oh, yes.
in a very similar
Oh,
way to all
yes.
those other things. So I'm
Yes.
curious. I haven't got to talk to you about what it was like. I mean, we got to talk a lot. In
Oh
university.
my gosh, technology hates us.
What, did it cut out again?
I think it's my shitty internet.
Oh, well, it's hilarious that I get to hear you and you just, I'm clearly.
Oh, you
paused.
could hear all of that?
I could hear all. Well, no, not all of it. Like maybe the first like 5 seconds of it.
That's so embarrassing. I thought you couldn't hear me. And I'm like, ah!
Well, it froze after a second, but there was definitely probably like 5 seconds where I was frozen. I could still hear you. So hopefully we'll edit around it. It'll all look
okay, good.
But I'm curious to ask you about getting your first dog and your first cat. I recently just got a dog, and it was a lot more effort than I thought it was going to be. I'm curious how it was for you, like being a full-time nurse and bringing pets into your life. How did that go?
Well, so I've had the cat for about 4 years. So
Right.
I got the cat like right out of nursing school.
Yep.
I was like, I'm so lonely. I'm going to be that crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I still am.
Yeah.
100%. I found this cat on Kijiji. I picked her up. She had a friggin' mohawk shaped into her. This lady was totally crazy. Gave me like a toothbrush and toothpaste for the cat. I'm like, it's a cat. Like, I'm pretty sure it's fine.
Yeah.
So, and the cat, like, she's like a dog, basically. A cat is a dog. She's just very fat and obese.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, having her has been awesome. And that was like my first kind of getting a pet and stuff. And it's funny because like she travels with me all the time. Like I go back to Calgary because my parents are from Calgary.
Right.
So I visit Calgary constantly. And I just pop her in the passenger seat, turn on the butt warmer. She doesn't move for the entire trip. Like she's so chill. So yeah, so I adopted this cat, and then and I've loved her, had her for all these years now. And then so getting this dog. So back when COVID, winter COVID, the waves, all that, I was living alone, and I was so depressed.
Yeah.
So sad. And so lonely because being alone, being single during COVID, and you're all alone in your house, plus being a nurse.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be near you. I was like, this cat is just encouraging me to stay in bed. This cat just wants me to be in bed all day long. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. So I started looking. I've been looking. I've wanted a dog for years. You know this.
Yeah.
I love dogs.
Yeah.
My parents have a dog. So I wanted a dog for years and years. And so anyways, I started looking at rescue dogs, and my mom's like, Emma, don't you dare. I'm like, Mom, I'm not getting out of bed. I need
Don't
a
tell me
dog.
what to do.
Yeah, don't tell me what to do. So I started looking at dogs for a couple months, and I actually got rejected from all the from the places in Edmonton because I don't have a backyard. So my house is a townhouse.
Right.
I don't have any sort of backyard, any sort of fenced in area. I just have a tiny little front yard, and that's it. But I've taken care of my parents' dog many a times, and you just, take them on a leash, take them to pee, bring them back in. It's no big deal. Take them for lots of walks. And so no place in Edmonton would let me adopt a dog. And I knew I wanted to adopt. I wasn't getting a puppy because I'm full-time nursing. It's way too hard.
Yeah.
So I wanted a dog. And so I found my dog online, and every time you show someone a picture, they're like, wow, dog's a little homely. Hey, she just looked so bad in her pictures. They brought her in. So her original name was Citrus. That had to go right away.
That's a bold name.
I know. But they
Citrus.
found her. I know. Gross, right?
Terrible.
So they found her in a ditch with puppies, and they named the puppies Lemon and Lime.
Wow. Creative.
Yeah.
Is this the 7-Up family or what?
I don't know. Anyways, so they found her in a ditch. All these puppies had wicked mange and wicked infections and stuff. And her face was huge. They said when they found her, she probably had a week to live. Otherwise because she couldn't swallow. She could barely, I know, it was so sad. So they did all these surgeries, put all these drains, but I don't know why they did this, but the picture they posted was of her with all these drains looking like horrible. Like she looked awful in these pictures. And I just saw this dog and I'm like, this dog needs a nurse.
Yeah.
This dog needs Nurse Emma.
Yeah.
That's what she needs, a nurse mama in her life. And I show my parents this dog, and she's a pit bull. She's got some sort of pit bull mix in her. She looks very pit bull. And I showed my parents this picture. They're like, what are you thinking? Like, no, like because there's a big stigma on pit bulls, which I'm sure you know. People are like, and I've experienced it already. Like, you know, people don't like pit bulls. They you know, intrinsically aggressive. No, she's like the most soft, sensitive soul ever. But yes, my family was not supportive initially. They were like, don't get this dog. Like, this is a terrible idea. And then I think like a couple days later, my mom felt really guilty and she's like, I'm sorry. Like, if you want the dog, I'll help you get the dog. So they got on board. And so I went to Red Deer. So this dog was in Red Deer. So me and my girlfriend drove to Red Deer. And we met this dog. She looked way better when we saw her than in the pictures. Still a little rough around, a bit rough around the edges. Like, still needed Nurse Emma to take care of her. Anyways, met this dog, and I'm like, and I'm going in with like an open mind. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to take this dog, knowing in my head, like, I'm going to meet this dog, fall in love. I'm going to take this dog home. And so that's why I brought my friend with me to be like my voice of reason. So we're asking these questions. We spent about 45 minutes with this dog, and I was walking her around and getting to know her. And so they kind of look at me, and then after 45 minutes, the like adoption agency, they look at me like, so what do you think? And I look down at her. I'm like, oh, like she looks like a Janice. Like, this is Janice. Look down, I'm like, Janice, like, what do you think? Do you want to come home with me? She starts licking my hand instantly. Aww. I start ugly crying, falling. I'm like, this is my dog. She's coming home with me. And the rest is history. So yes. So I brought her home, and turns out this poor dog, not like, I didn't know, because the adoption agency, all they were worried about was getting her healthy enough to adopt. And then when I brought her to my vet, turns out they're like, I think this dog has like wicked allergies. She's got crazy allergies. They diagnosed her with colitis, and and so she's on like this crazy strict diet. Like, for the first 3 months, it was a nightmare. Like, this poor dog, she lost all her fur. Like, she had all these sores and stuff. It was so sad. So I really had to like get the health part of her working. But then it's different. So they say she's about 2 to 3 years old. And so I thought getting an adult dog, it'd be a lot easier than having a puppy, because they already kind of have a little bit of sense of like what's going on.
Right. Wrong.
I was so naive. Like, you know, when you get a dog, you think, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be like the movies.
I was so naive too. And being such a dog person, always around dogs and always like friends had dogs. We had dogs. My understanding of what I thought getting a dog was so far off. It was amazing. Totally. I couldn't believe it.
Totally. Oh yeah. So, but getting an adult dog and adopting it, this dog has never had boundaries. This dog has never had any sort of training. So like, trying to figure out a way, okay, so I don't have a backyard, so I've got to be able to take this dog out like quite frequently, take her for lots of walks, get her really exercise. She has so much energy. Like, she had puppy energy. I was like, a BS that this dog is 2 to 3. This dog's like 1 with like nothing but crazy amounts of energy. And she didn't settle for a long time too, right? She'd been moved around. She's not used to being an indoor dog. So when I first got her, like, honestly, I feel like I had postpartum depression when I first got this dog, because I was like, this is so overwhelming. And being alone in all this too was a lot, working full time. So my brother actually was living with me on and off quite a bit here. And so he kind of moved back in when I got this dog and helped me out a lot, which was really nice. But for the most part, like, it was on me to kind of figure out how to train this dog, figure out how to like, you know, navigate this new life. So actually I ended up switching a lot of my shifts to night shifts. I worked straight nights for a while there so that I could, did it freeze again? Oh, no, it didn't. Okay, there we go. I thought it
didn't freeze for a second.
It did. It went. Oh my gosh, I hate computers. Anyways, where was I going?
Your brother was staying with you, or taking night shifts?
Yeah, so I worked straight nights.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped, you know, navigate it a little bit. And it just eventually, we just found our groove. Like, she just got really comfortable with me. She became like, honestly, always by my side. Like, she had wicked separation anxiety from me. She became my little buddy. Her and the cat, oh my Lord, it was like World War III when I first got her in my house. Oh, because the cat doesn't, like, she's kind of a little, you know, boss ass girl there that doesn't want to be bothered. And the dog thinks she's a chew toy. But the cat, it doesn't take it nicely and beat the crap out of the dog.
Yeah.
So the dog had like puncture wounds on her face for the first like 3 months.
Yeah.
But they, they figured it out. They got together and it's been fine ever since. But
Yeah.
So now we're just this cute little family of the three of us. I take them everywhere. Like I take them when I go to my parents' cabin in BC. It's like a 7-hour drive. I take them both in the car with me. Like I go and visit my parents in Calgary. I bring them both. Like we're just a crew.
To have a little family, hey?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So and I imagine not to make it sad, but I imagine it's been tough to be away from him. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Daily FaceTime updates with my mom.
Gotta have it.
But but my mom's amazing. Like she's been so good with like taking care of them, and she's so happy to have them too. Like the dog's really gotten attached to my mom now, which is a very girl's girl. Like we're a very girly group. So so she's like totally my mom's like right-hand girl all the time now. And I think it's been really great because like my parents have a dog. They have a big golden retriever. Yeah. And so the two of them just become best friends. They play in the backyard all day long. Like it's actually pretty perfect
that's awesome.
And
your mom probably misses you so much that having a little piece of you and with your pets probably makes it a little bit easier on her. I'm sure still very hard because you guys are so close. But.
Yeah, no, I think it's been really good. I think it's really good for everyone. Like my brother and my dad were a little bit hesitant on the whole thing, but my mom's already like, oh, I know your dad loves this dog. Like they snuggle in bed every morning together. Like, don't let him tell you that he's having a hard time because he's not. I'm like, I told you. So no, it's been really good. It's been tough being away from them. And actually like with this company, they'll allow you to take your pets with you. I just wanted to, my first contract, I didn't really want to bring anything into it, but
you already have so much on your plate. Yeah,
totally. But like from now on, I'll totally bring the cat across the country with me every time I go. Not so much the dog. She'd be a nightmare on the plane, but for sure, I'm going to bring my cat with me everywhere I go now. Like just going to lug that poor thing across the country, but she'll love it.
She'll love it. She'll have a great time. Oh, yeah. Well, that is so awesome. I'm so glad to get the full update, the musical update, the nursing update, the dog update, like just everything, however much new pink stuff we get. We didn't get into that too much. I feel like we didn't really fully paint the picture for the listeners of how deep that obsession with that color goes. But now we just have something to talk about next time you come on.
There you go. That sounds pretty good.
Well, I just have to say, I'm so proud of you, Emma. I never doubted it for a second. I knew you were destined to do great things, and I'm so excited to be able to reconnect like this and hopefully do it again in the future and just follow along with your journey. And hopefully people listen to this and they have a good time because you're just such an amazing cute person, and your vibe, and just, it's hard to be around you and not be smiling and happy and just in a good mood. And I just thought that was so perfect for you to be a nurse and so perfect for you to be a musician, because that's just what you're trying to do, is just spread joy. And you're just the epitome of that. So I'm so thankful to you for coming on, for how open you've been about everything. And I just had such a good time talking to you. So thank you so much, Emma.
Oh, thank you for having me. And it's been so cool, like, because we're both in the same journey right now, that it's really relatable for both of us. I think I think this timing, you talk about like the universe and like how things just happen for a reason. I think if we did this 6 months ago, it wouldn't be the same that it is now, right? Because we're just in the same journey that we're both going on. And I think it's going to be really cool. And like you said, in 6 months to see where we're both at with what we're doing and quitting our big like adult jobs. And stuff, so.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because that's one of the biggest things I've seen with that weird universe stuff of kind of sending things. It's so much of it is having guests on, and like I've wanted to have you on for a long time, and I've just been, trying to find the right time, and for it to not even realize that I thought it was just kind of an extent. I didn't realize that you quit. Like I quit, right? Like to not even be aware of how good the timing was. It just, I had a feeling like, and it's not like we put this together for a long time. It's just kind of hey, reached out, like made it happen within a couple of days. And for the time to work out like that is just so cool to me, how that always happens, and to not even be aware of it, and just to have it, come out in the first 5 minutes of the podcast that like we're going through almost identical journeys right now. Like, fuck, is that ever cool? That shit just gets me going. I love it. So we'll do it again soon. Maybe not even in 6 months. I don't know if I can wait that long. I'm going to be too curious about all the shenanigans with all your adventuring you're doing out there. But if people want to follow along, they can follow the band. We'll have all the stuff in the notes, all your band, your personal stuff. They can follow along, follow your adventures, your hikes, and just everything that you are. I just love who you are, and I'm happy that I get to have you in my life. So thank you, Emma.
Thanks so much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right, that's episode 103 for everybody. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like I said in the intro, if you could give me a follow on the Von Dubcast Instagram page, the Twitter page, that really helps. If you could subscribe on whatever app you listen to, if it's a Spotify app, the Apple Podcast app, if you subscribe, that really helps. I try and release the episodes at about 3 in the morning, so your phone's probably hooked up to Wi-Fi if it downloads automatically. And please set it to download automatically, even if you're not going to listen to it right then. You kind of have it on the go. It helps me, helps the podcast grow, helps show the bigger and bigger guests that there's an audience that wants to listen, and that really helps me with taking these bigger swings at bigger guests to come on. I mean, I love having my friends on, and that is fun, but I also have some really lofty goals for the type of guests that I can have on here, from scientists to authors to fighters to all sorts of things, and all that really helps. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Please go follow Emma's band, the Nova Scotiables band, her favorite band, all that on social media. That would be great. They'll all be linked in the description. And other than that, just have a great week, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. 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 Bye.